monkey last night?
No, I haven't actually. Yeah, we're rolling now, mate. Oh. Hello and good afternoon. Welcome to Flory Models Q&A Live. Here we are on the 11th of October 2016. Steve is with us after Saturday. Sunday even. I keep calling it Saturday. People say, what did you do at the weekend? Well, I said Saturday. I must admit, I was explaining it was quite a rough weekend for me. Obviously, we had the stag thing. I worked Saturday morning, stag 2, and then we were working again Sunday. It was like, yeah, quite a hectic weekend all in all. Anyway. Obviously it's Q&A. Remember, get your questions in the forum please, in the Q&A section. It's up there now if you are joining us live, which would be absolutely fantastic. We're also hopefully just going to finish off the helicopters, because mine is pretty much there. Steve's is whizzing along down below, apart from he's got a few parts missing as well. And we're just wondering about pitot tubes. Apparently Trumpeter don't think they need them, so they are missing. But I have seen pictures and they've got big pitot tubes hanging off the front of them, so I'm just wondering why the kit hasn't got them at the moment. But say, get your questions in nice and early, and then hopefully we'll get through them all as usual. I've got a few in my one as well, but as I say, part of this is just to finish this guy off, obviously from Sunday night. So thank you to everybody who joined us on Sunday. It's great with actually having Hans with us as well. Trying it for sort of the three-way of all of us going. I know we had a few little lag issues with Hans. Not sure why, because watching it back, you were fine, Steve. It was me. But for some reason Hans had quite a bit of lag, but it was being sent and bounced all around the world as normal. So, first off, I've been very busy because over in Spray Bay, which is over there, if I just go full screen, there we go. You can see I've been up with this guy today. So we've painted this one up and gone through it. To be honest, I was going to do a hard edge camo and I was going to mask it. And to be honest with you, I did. This was a hard edge. And I masked it, and I was going to do it all like it, but me being me, you know, it's like I decided to do it all freehand and to whiz around. So I've done a nice sort of tutorial about freehand airbrushing, going through there, and how to turn hard edge back into freehand, because I had to go over it again to blend it in with all the rest of it. So literally, I only finished this sort of 15 minutes ago. And so we've got the final bits and pieces to go on here. Do the metal work hopefully in the morning. No, can't do it in the morning. I'm at the dentist. So I'll be tomorrow afternoon hopefully with a mouthful of fillings and everything, going through with this one, getting the metal work done, and if I can get the decals onto it, that can be drying overnight. So definitely by the end of the week this will be finished, because as I say, I've done everything else. We've done the fuel tank for it, we've done all the gear, we've done the wheels are all painted and everything just like that. So it is literally all ready to go together, final assemblies once the metal work and everything's done on that one. But that's pretty good. So I've been pushing on nicely with that, and as I say, been doing this guy. So as you can see, after Saturday where we did a little few bits and pieces to it, we are pretty much there now, looking very, very much the part. Really happy how it turned out. I think, as I say, considering we had the run around with the old overhead panels in the green and everything else like that, it isn't too bad at all. I think it turned out really, really well. But as a load of you have mentioned, the old food colouring way would probably be a better solution. And I'm probably thinking you're quite right. At the end of the day, I think the food colouring way, that would work really well. A couple of drops into clear, and then let that go in, really mix it well, and then airbrush that straight on, or hand paint it onto your windows, and that does a very good thing. But as I say, we were just trying some new ideas to see if it worked, and to be honest, it didn't. So we ended up doing it the other way, just like that. So there we go. So Steve, what have you been up to this week?
Well, since Sunday, I've just done a bit more getting the front of the husky, getting all the resin on.
Lovely.
Which is
really looking nice.
Quite tricky. So took quite a bit of clean up of the CA glue afterwards, but it's gradually getting there. So I'll move that back. And then apart from that, really all I've done is giving me my bust a quick spray paint, just in case anyone asks any questions, so we can just use this now to demo stuff on. And I've got the old Phantoms had a little coat of grey on, so if we get any questions, there we go, can destroy these some more.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I even did a track seems we always get questions on tracks.
Yeah.
So, and then apart from that, yeah, I've just been doing out little bits for my dolphin to get ready to stick on. So it came out really well in the end, which is good.
Yeah.
Cup of tea time.
God, I'm amazed you have yours on cue.
I know.
It's like it's 10 past. Here comes the cup of tea.
Yeah, it's brilliant, isn't it? I know.
Bless.
Delivered all the time, and you don't. It's a shame.
No, that's it. No, not for me. I must admit, we don't get them like that. So, what we're going to do is, as I say, we're going to do questions and finish these guys off. Steve is going to. I don't know. Which are you going to do? Are you going to lacquer yours today, or are you going to?
Yeah, I think so, because it only don't take long just to give it a quick coat of lacquer.
Yeah.
It may need a rub down afterwards, but we could give it a quick coat and show how we do it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah. You can show the world. I'm probably going to hand paint mine on, purely because the trouble I've got, obviously, as you can see, is I unmasked mine because I'm not as brave as Steve, and I was itching to know what the glasswork was like inside. The problems I've got is obviously mine is all open as well, so I've got doors open and stuff like that. So I was very keen to get it unmasked to see what was going on in there. But so if Steve wants to show us that a little bit later, that would be fantastic.
yeah.
And as I say, we'll do a few of your questions. So you've been busy posting up today. So I've got a picture of one down there as well. So Peter says, hi guys, I've just tried using Mr. Hobby self-leveling thinners with Tamiya gloss acrylics to paint my car body, and without being a big head, I'm well impressed with the results, and it does look very nice, I must admit. With the results, the pic below shows the finish straight from the airbrush with no polishing or clear coat. Many thanks for the tip, Phil. It's however a race car, and will be covered in decals, cartograph. Good again. So the question is, would decals react badly if oversprayed with Tamiya clear thinned with Mr. Hobby self-leveling thinners? It appears to be quite an aggressive solvent. Would it be prudent to give a mist coat with Tamiya clear thinned with X20A and seal everything in the first, or can I get away with just going for it? Probably not the best question to ask, but any advice would be appreciated, Pete. Now, if you had asked me this 2 weeks ago, I would have said, yeah, just chuck it clean on. But we have had a member had a bad reaction, didn't we, to a certain type of decals, and it bubbled up, and it was here on a Q&A show, and I think it was an F1 car or something, and they went a little bit, started to eat. I've never had that happen. Self-leveling thinners I use all the time with no problems whatsoever. I think if you're going to be using like a 2-pack lacquer, that might attack a decal underneath because they are very thin, but I think you'll be fine with just using thinners on the top, because the thing is it dries extremely quickly and goes through. But be a little bit safe with it. If you've got a spare decal, bung it onto a bit of plasticard and try it and see what happens, or onto your buster or whatever you've got, okay, and just test it first. I've never had a problem with it, and I've done it because I've used flats, satins and glosses with self-leveling thinners and had no problem with any decal ever. But we did have that guy last time, and he mentioned that he'd had a little bit of a problem with that happening, and it bubbled up and it started to etch into there. I don't know, Steve, you ever had a problem with it?
No, I can't say I have. On the last car I did, I used 2-pack over the top of the decals because it's good, because you can then polish the 2-pack clear and get a really nice surface, and it never had any problems. And to be honest, that's what I'm going to be using when we spray my dolphin is 2-pack. Straight over the top, and I can't say I'm expecting any trouble.
No, I must admit I'm a bit sort of surprised it did do it. If I just grab, this is the last thing I gave a heavy coat with, and as I say, it's a bit dusty, it's been up there, but this had the 2-pack thinned with self-leveling thinners as well. So it actually, I made a mix of, you actually use 2-pack, the resin, basically the hard coat onto this, then it has the activator goes into it as well, and then just to make it a little bit thinner and make it a bit easier to go through an airbrush, then I went right the way over it with the self-leveling thinners. Mixed into it all and had no problem whatsoever. And the great thing is, like I did with this, I polished the hell out of this because, to be honest, we had a few problems with it, but it was great. But as I say, no adhered effect. The decals are all fine, and that's a different one. The bike, the Tamiya bike we did it with, that's the first thing I'd ever done with it, and again that's got decals all over it, and that they never minded it either, so we're not quite sure what happened. To this day it's just going to be one of them mystery things of the reason why it did it on that particular model. But as I say, Steve's going to do it in a minute, so if his all fall off and turn wrinkly, we know why.
Yeah, plus you'll see me start crying if it does.
Yeah.
You see the fastest moving dolphin ever.
Yeah, that's right. I'll see it. It will crash through my window from here.
Yeah.
To get thrown that far. But to be honest, Pete, that's a lovely looking car. That is really looking very, very nice down there. If we can go full screen just to show everyone, if I've got this set up correctly today. There we go. So you see he's done a fantastic job on that. Looking very, very nice indeed. So well done on that one. Hold on, I've got to find out which one we are now. I call it scene 9. I really ought to change the description. Right, okay, so Neil says, hi guys, I noticed when you did your on-test dipping special, I've got to remember now, which one was that? You didn't try AK Gloss Coat Goozy, the orange pot. Did we? I thought we did. Are you talking about which one we are talking about? Is that the one I did the other day or the review for it? We've actually reviewed the stuff because I have got it. It's here. I think when we were talking about just other canopies with the other future, I think that's what it was. I have got some. It's here. We've done actually a review on this stuff as well. Is that because it's not good or you didn't get around to it? No, well, the thing is, I've already reviewed this stuff. It's not a lot of difference, shall we say, between these two. Again, it's white, it's milky. If I'm really honest, and I am just trying to be honest here as I can, this stuff is far better for giving a clear look. And it's funny enough because me and Steve were talking about this just before we come on air, and there's a little thing here. This here, when we were talking about it, if I go full screen, where are we? Full screen. There we go. This here is the pot from the Sunday show that I was dipping, if you remember. And you can see now this is just a cheap shot glass. How clear that is in the bottom. It is absolutely crystal clear, and it was swill because we filled it up, if you remember, right up on the side, and you can see the writing. That's the manufacturer's writing etched up here. But you can see how clear that pot is, and this is the one we actually had. It was in there, and obviously I tipped it back in, but it is absolutely crystal clear, and it's clearer obviously than one of these when they start out with. And it's been kicking around now obviously all week and everything else, and you know, it might be interesting to leave this hanging around just to see if it yellows, but hopefully you can see just how clear that actually is. It is exceptionally clear, and if I'm honest, I think it's literally just worked a little bit better than the dipping type ones. Certainly this stuff. The drawback to this stuff is, and I've had lots of people get in contact with me about it, it peels. So if you mask over it and you catch an edge, you peel it off and it comes off like a sheen, like a physical layer. Now I'm not saying this won't because I haven't tried it, but that is the trouble, that you think, okay, dip your canopy, then you mask it, then you unmask it, and you end up taking it off with it. And I've had lots of people say to me about it. It did it to me, but it didn't do it on the glass. It did it on the bit off of the glass, if you know what I mean, the actual framework. But you know, that's a different thing because it was like a flat coat, so I thought it would anyway. But we have done a review on it, go and have a look at it. But generally, I have to say, if you want to go for pure clarity, and as I said, we did it with all these bits before, we've shown them before, I've been using this stuff. Yes, it is going to yellow, but as long as it's not in direct sunlight and things like that, I'm sure you'd be fine with it. I don't think you're going to have a problem with it.
It don't peel off, Phil. I caught it clear on it yesterday. It's got a bit of tape, rubbed it off. And this is a bit stickier than Tamiya tape as well.
Yeah.
And it just peels off. It can't peel anything off.
No.
But you might want to put that little pot of yours, just put it on the window bottom and see.
Yeah, to be honest, what I'll do, I will put it in the office upstairs because that has the sun in there every single day, and it's like a furnace up there. And to be honest, I've got, next week or next time we're on live, I'll show you what it is. But I've got a couple of bits of perspex clear for putting paperwork in. They're all white, yet they were crystal clear because we use them for the shows. And immediately they've gone completely white where the ultraviolet's killed it. So what I'll do is I'll take this up and give it the ultimate test, and we'll leave it sat there and see what happens. And I'll put one that hasn't had it in there as well, and we'll just see how quickly it takes to yellow and all the rest of it. Because say it's south facing window, it gets it all day long, and as long as we get some sun, we'll be all right. We should be fine with that one, and we'll definitely give it a whirl just to see how much it does yellow. But in my thing, I know I had lots of people coming back to me saying, oh, Phil, it yellows and all the rest of it, and stuff like that, but they all do. I've never known one not to. I've got stuff back there that says non-yellowing, and it's definitely not white anymore. You know, if you put it next to white, you can really see the difference. So I'll just be mindful about where you put your model when it's finished. Don't leave it in direct sunlight. I don't know if some of you remember, but this is going back quite a while ago. I had a commission before I started all of this, and it was for a 1 to 350, I think it was the New Jersey, something else like that. Anyway, I always offered a clean service, so people could send them back to me or bring them back to me, and I would give them a complete clean every couple of years, you know, to dust them and all the bits and pieces, repair any damages and all the rest of it. Anyway, it came back and we did it as part of one of the videos years later, and it's where I had used super glue on the model for putting the main sort of, you know, superstructure of the ship together. And it literally all come apart, and what it was, the ultraviolet light had crumbled all of the super glue on it. So it's great because you could literally take it off and dust it and it would crumble, and that's what it was. But this model sat in sunlight all its life, and it was on a south facing windowsill apparently type of thing, and it was just one side of it was grey right the way through, but also all the super glue had been eaten as well by the ultraviolet light. So you do have to be mindful about where you put it.
It's a good job those modelers live in dark, dingy caves, then, isn't it, really?
Well, this is it, yes. It does help, definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, he says, on a more serious and speculative note, are you planning on buying more kits, tools, etc. earlier than you would because of the drop in the value of the pound? Many electronic items have gone up because of the price because of it. I think it's only a matter of time before the import items follow. You're probably very right. As I say, I think if you think about it, funny enough, me and Liam on Sunday were talking about this exact thing, and we were talking about it, and I showed him there's an app on your iPhone, isn't it, and it's got the prices and the currency value, and in 2007 you could get $2.30 to the pound. So it was brilliant. So we used to buy loads of stuff from the US because it was just so cheap, because everything was half price, you know. And now it's the other way around now, because I think it's like 120, 118, 120. And so it's pretty horrendous, and you can see it drop off the value of the pound completely compared to everybody else. But as I say, with the euro, we went pretty bad last thing. It goes up and down, okay? And this is the only thing, is that some of the guys in the UK who are going to be buying might wait. So I'm not going to mention the companies directly, but obviously, as some of you know, I do a little bit of work for a couple of companies and things like that. Some of them have mentioned that they're not going to be ordering, and just see what happens for the minute. So you might notice that whereas you might have kits readily available in the UK, you might find they're not, especially the ones from the Far East, until they know exactly how things are going to pan out. Because at the moment, if they put in an order, say for, I don't know, £20,000 worth of plastic kits, that could be the difference between them making a profit and not, because it is lower. Otherwise, it means you've got to put the price up. So in one way, you're going to have to go. But we've all had this thing before. At the end of the day, companies are to make money. You know, there's no point having a Hans in the world or a Creative Models or your Antics or whoever they are, because at the end of the day, they're a business and they need to make money because they have bills to pay and staff to pay and everything else like that at the end of the day. So, you know, they have to. So if they do put the price up, they're not making tons of money on this, trust me. We all know you get the people saying, oh, yeah, they're making a fortune. By the time you've got VAT and your overheads and everything else, you know, and paying staff and wages, they're not making that much money on kits. Trust me, I know. You know, part of the thing we do with the Kit Buyers Club and that, you can see exactly. There's not much in it these days. You know, if you're that worried about it, go and buy from them direct in the Far East and things like that, really.
But on the other hand, it's a good time if you live in Europe or anywhere else in the world to buy off fill, because the pound's low, so it's good time to buy your washers and your sanding sticks.
And I wasn't going to say it, but I'll be honest with you, our sales have gone through the roof. Absolutely gone through the roof. I'll be honest with you, we've done a month's worth of take-ins. What we would normally do in a month, we did on the 10th. So that's what it is because the pound's really low. You can buy a full set of sanders, full set of washes, and get your pigments free basically because of what the pound is at the moment. So I think a lot of people have done that. We've actually physically sold more full sets of everything this month so far than we've ever done because people are just buying full sets instead of individuals. So you can't blame them.
Yeah.
I would.
Well, we're about
you know?
what $1.6
Mm.
to the pound last year, and look at it now. So
Yeah.
it's a big difference.
Yeah, it is. It's a huge difference. But yeah, I wasn't going to say, but yeah, our sales, I have to say, it's like Happy Christmas. But
Yeah, I'll plug it for you, Phil. I'm
yeah, all
not
right, you
ashamed.
can. Yeah, I just get guilty then. Okay. So, Al says, "Hi Phil and Steve. Good afternoon. Question for Phil. When will you start doing your Gundam? I'm planning on. I'm longing for a Gundam, as I'm planning to build one. Also, it'll be the first time for doing a Gundam. Me too. I want to see what approach you build your Gundam from start to fully weathered one. Now I'm sourcing Gundam. I have no idea on Gundam scales and grades, MG, HG, etc. I also have heard there are skeleton Gundams with armour. What did you consider when picking your Gundam?" Now, who did the full thing for us?
I've just got it now in front of me. If you
Right,
go
that's brilliant.
to the top of the tutorials forum, Ben Morgan did a short guide
That's
to
it.
Gundam models, and it'll tell you everything you need to know about them.
Yeah.
And he spent ages making sure it covered all aspects, all the different types, the cross stuff as well. So it's really worth reading.
Yeah.
He's put some
He did do a fantastic. And to be honest with you, it's what I did because I didn't have a clue either, and I went right the way through it. And to be honest, why I ended up on this one, from my point of view, obviously it's got to be. Didn't want to do a small one because if you're going to do it, you're going to do it, you know. So I went with something a bit bigger. It probably is a little bit overkill because if I remember rightly, I've got to remember how big this thing is. Don't know if it actually says on here. The actual size of it when it's done. It's a lot in different languages. I can't remember if it had it on here. Anyway, this is the master grade, which isn't the best one, but it is one of the better ones. And basically, they do different versions of it, and he goes on to tell you what you get is the differences and all the rest of it. And this is the 1 to 100 scale, I do believe. As I say, shows now how much I know. I had it all down packed, but I've had it kicking around so long now, I've sort of forgotten about it, what it is. But it means it's going to be quite a big beast. It's the same scale as what Steve's is as well. So he's going to be quite tall. He's going to be, sort of so tall. And with all the bits and pieces on this one, as I say, mine's going to be a little bit different because that's what I do. But again, have a look at Ben. He did a fantastic job on that one, explaining all what it is, the different series, the cartoon things for it, and the various sort of options and differences there are. But you're right, you can get sort of skeleton ones and you buy the armour, and then you can upscale and change them over and stuff like that. You can also get a lot of aftermarket bits for them as well, different weapon sets, different armour sets, rocket packs and that. So have a look at his thing. It's a great guide to everything that is Gundam, and go through it like that. So that would be great. Hopefully starting it, I will, to be honest, I've got dentist tomorrow, oh joy, and I'm going to have a bit of work done, so I don't know if I'll be filming even tomorrow. It depends if I can talk. So I've got that at 10 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to crack on with that one way or the other, and then literally it just depends on how the week progresses. But what I might end up doing is getting that one pushed out and done, getting Dolphin done, they're cleared then, and then we can go straight into that one and really push on with it. That is what I'd like to do, so maybe starting next week. I was going to start it this week, but because I'm on a roll with that back there, I don't want to break that sort of mojo, if that makes sense. Okay, so Grant says, "Hi Phil and Steve, hope you're both well. A couple of questions for you. Do you know why 1/72 scale is referred to as the one true scale? I've heard this term a lot. It seems odd statement, but maybe I'm missing something." I don't know. Have you heard that? I have heard it. I just thought it was because it was the first scale.
I don't know. Is it something to do with the like your model railways, like 00? It might marries up with that or something.
Yeah, maybe.
I think it's something to do with that, but I wouldn't know the one true scale actual where it originated from.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think it may be that when model kits were first invented, when they came along, I think it was people like Airfix and who were the other ones? Frog? Was it Frog? They were an early one, weren't they?
Yeah.
They only produced in 1/72nd. So I think it's a bit like saying the senior service, for instance, for the Navy, because they're around a long time. So I think that is. I think it's just a little bit of fun, you know, they're saying the one true scale because that's how it originated back in the day. And then it's a bit like, you know, a lot of car armour tends to be 1/35th scale, pretty much standard. If you go for different scales, it's a little bit different. But I think over the years, I think 48th has become the scale, if you like, you know, probably the most popular scale. And everything else, but I'm assuming they're saying that the one true scale might have more to do with it. It was the first scale, and I was going to say, isn't 00 1/72nd as well?
I don't know, but it's just saying that 1/72nd scale, it works out at 1 inch to 6 feet.
Yeah.
In this scale, a man who is 6 feet tall would be 1 inch in height. Yeah.
Yeah, I must admit, I was aware of that. Yeah, it's 1 to 6. So yeah, 1 inch is 6 feet, and that's how they scaled it. So it's 2 yardsticks, wasn't it?
Yeah, I'm just trying to see if there's anything about it.
Oh right, okay. Well, you do that. I'll just read the next bit of the question. We'll come back to it. The other question is about the 1/32nd Mustang F6D. I'm doing it for the Meet My Metal SIG. The colour call out is for silver, but looking around the net, there seems to be a lot of different options about Mustangs and how they are painted. All were bare metal, including bare metal fuselages and painted wings. How would you do both and paint a Mustang if you were building one? As I say, it depends on a couple of things. It depends on the variant of it, where they came from as well, which factory, because I'm not a Mustang expert, and I know there's loads of you out there are, but they came from different factories, and some factories did different things with them. Some of them filled all the rivets, for instance, and then they were sanded and painted, sort of a metal colour on top, came out of it like that. The ones which have the sort of bare metal finish underneath and then the green on the top, so it tends to be like olive drab over it. Again, a lot of that I think is World War II. It's speed, getting them out, and then they were painted very quickly and just gave them the green to break up them from being top down view. So if they were being bounced by a fighter from above, they're going to blend in a bit more because they're green instead of being shiny metal colour floating around everywhere and stuff like that. So that is how it goes. As for doing it, to be honest, I wouldn't do it silver, I'd do it in aluminium. Silver's very bright, you don't want it to be that bright. I'd knock it down a little bit and I'd use an aluminium colour. Don't use a polished aluminium or something else like that. Keep it as a normal aluminium, paint it completely and then go over it with your olive drab, and then either if it's more solid, if it's more motley on top, you can adjust your paint call outs and as you go right the way through. So treat it as a natural metal finish and then go over it with the green on top. That's how I tend to do it. I've done them before in the 48th. My bigger ones are all tend to be just metal colours and stuff like that. Steve, how would you do yours?
Well, first of all, just going back to the true scale. Now, from what I've read, 1/72nd is really the only scale. Like it's 1 inch to 6 feet, so it's one true, easy to move over into real life. And all the others are kind of weird and wonderful measurements, and so I reckon that's what it is.
So that's probably what it is.
Yeah, it's like
so
there's
it's
one,
it's
like
solid,
00
round
gauge was originated with track width in mind. And he's 1/76th and stuff like that. So I think it's the only one that's directly works out in, you know, like 1 inch 6 feet. It's the only one that's easy.
6 feet.
Yeah, it's not taking off anything else. It's taking off proper measurements. So
right. Oh, well,
that's what I read.
So there we go. We'll be the official line of this now. It's because it goes to 6 feet. 1 inch is 6 feet, and all the others are would be 0.38 of an inch and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
That is a nice solid round conversion.
Right.
So there we go. We'll be sold with that one. So anyway, doing bare metal
Painting a Mustang. Yeah, I just use different metallic colours. I wouldn't have it too shiny though. I'd either go for a satin or more of a matte finish.
Hmm.
I think because the really shiny chrome ones are all showbirds. They were never
That's
like
it.
that.
Yeah.
Um, and another option, I know somewhere where it's silver wings, it's usually that high speed silver that they
Hmm.
use.
Yeah.
So if you use a matte coat over it, that's a good way of simulating that.
I don't know how well this will show. I'll try it because it's horrible trying to do this on camera. Alright, but if I catch this in the light, the whole point of doing it this way, if you catch this one in the light, you can see its different shininesses. Is that even a word? Hold on, let me try a closer camera. But the whole idea is it's supposed to be a sort of more metal, natural looking. So it is shiny, but it's not, you know, really shiny. It's quite a flat, but you can see you get the different, like over here, we've got different things. This is because we use buffables on it, and some of it's buffed, some of it's not, and then it was overcoated, and then some of it was polished, some of it wasn't. But the whole idea is you get a sort of a more natural, sort of metally type look with it. That's why I did it. You can see a bit of it going around here where it's more flatter in the middle and then it is on the outsides and stuff. It's just to try and give it a more natural metal look, and it's one of these things which looks great in the flesh, terrible on film, because your eye doesn't look at it in the same way. Yeah, a camera is just too flat. You know, you don't get the sort of three-dimensional type of look for it. But as you can see it there, as you move it around, you get some areas are different to others, and that's what I was trying to really sort of replicate on that one, right, versus, you know, any other way we've done them before. It's just a trial many years ago. That's why I might end up getting another coat of paint. I'm planning on stripping it back and doing another one if I can get time before the end of the year, whilst we've got the metal sig to talk about doing metal finishes and stuff like that, because it'd be quicker to do that than it would be to build something. So yes, but yeah, so that's the way, no problem, but keep them flat and dull, to be a bit more lifelike. Okay, so Todd says, hi lads, I was reading today an article about a build of a 148 Saab J29F Tunnon in the Airfix Modelling World Mag. It was built by the author using a product called Bondic. Now, funny enough, did it look like that? It was a new clear ultraviolet activated liquid for plastics with the consistency of an epoxy resin or a CA glue, and it hardened to a clear non-shrinking resin. He used it to do the clear navigation lights and stuff. He got from a website called notaglue.com. I've noticed that there are a number of these on the market now, considering the use of a tube or pen with a liquid plastic and a small key size ultraviolet light for the body used. I'm keen to get one and give it a go, but before I jump in with my wallet, I thought I would ask. Question is, what do you know about this stuff? Loads of it. We've even done a review of this. Have you used it, or a UV hardening product like it? What is the limitations? How large of an object can you create? And if you don't know of it, feel free to start a raft of banter. You're welcome. Have you ever used it, Steve?
I've never used it, no.
Let's say, now I have tried this. This is what it is. If I do the tighter cam, it comes in a little box just like this. Okay, you have an ultraviolet light, as you can see, it lights up on the end here. And then, is this the end or is it the other end? I can never remember which end it is. Yeah, it's the other end. So you have this guy here. Actually, I think it goes like this and it pulls out, that's it. So this is your ultraviolet light, okay? And then in here, I've got to remember even how to get in here, I've been in here for a while, that's it. You have the gel in your little needle applicator. I'll do it on something, hold on. Buster, where are you? Okay, hold on, if I just go full screen a sec. Right, so Buster here. If we was to do something like, I don't know, let's give him a blob here, for instance. You can see I'm going to try and make a lighty type thing, as if Steve would. Hopefully you can see that there. Then we zap it with ultraviolet light, and this will go off and goes hard and everything else just like that. I don't know how long it takes, I can't remember now. So we just zap in it. Hold on, let me put the end of this on, whatever I've done with it. Okay, let's pop that on. That's it. And then what we'll do is we'll just come around, hopefully you guys can see it. I zap it from this side. Now, this stuff is basically a ultraviolet activated gel. The great thing about it is it holds its height. It doesn't shrink and everything else like that. And if you read the blurb, it's the best thing since super glue, technically. And really is very, very good. I can't remember how long it takes, I must admit. I don't want to stick my finger in it before it's gone off because it's going to make a right mess. Okay, but generally you need to get round from all the angles. Now, I did experiment with this stuff a few years ago when it first became popular. You saw a lot of the Japanese modelers using it and stuff like that. And I thought, oh, that seems quite handy. And to be honest, I saw a Japanese modeler do a canopy for it, and they were actually selling this as canopy glue and everything else. So I bought a version of this. To be honest, it wasn't this one. This was actually sent to us by a member, and I can't remember who it was now, but thank you very much for this, because actually I repaired a mug with it the other week. Okay. But you basically zap your area just like this. Okay. I don't know when this goes off. Let me poke it with something. Okay, there we go, it's gone off. It's still tacky slightly, okay, but hopefully you can see this is rock hard now. So yeah, you could use it for a light, you could do anything with it, and you're good to go. The drawback to it is, and to be honest, it is quite a big one, if I just put this down to us, there we go, is it only dries what it can see. So if you're doing a light with it like this, there, it can see, and the entire part is completely illuminated with your torch, okay? If you're doing a canopy, so let's just assume you were doing a canopy like on this guy, and you're coming along and you're doing the front windscreen, okay? So you put it down on there and you go along with your light and everything else, and as long as you haven't painted anything, the light can shine right the way through and harden the entire thing. But if you've masked it, you've got a blind spot and everything else. So the thing is, it has to be able to physically see through. The other complete drawback to it is, if you're in a situation and you've pre-painted a canopy and then you go to put it on and then you use the light and everything, the light can't get right the way through the glue, so it never goes off. So you give it a little knock and actually it's still soft, because this stuff will never go off until it's got ultraviolet light. So that is the small drawback to it. So also, if you use it as a filler, for instance, it's great as long as the light can go right the way through, but if it can't go right the way through, it's always going to be soft and it's going to be squidgy. So sometimes you could do it and then you can end up with sink problems and everything else like that. But generally, it's very good. It's still tacky to the touch, so it would probably need a little bit longer. But it's one of those things. I tried it as a filler, to be honest. That was my original idea. I thought we could use it as a filler. It doesn't sound very well either. It tends to be, it never goes rock hard, if you know what I mean. I don't know if it's because it needs to have hours and hours of being illuminated, but I'm still illuminating this here. But generally it does seem to be that it's great for doing sort of practical things of gluing two bits together, but as soon as you're getting into detailed work on this, it's not as good. But I originally had it as a canopy glue, thought it would be brilliant for doing canopies, clear, no fogging, no trouble, but it never does it. And I had a situation where I think it was a Phantom I did, and I glued it, I thought it was great, and then it just fell off. And because the light hasn't gone right the way underneath it and done absolutely everything to it. But I think you're fine as long as it's on clear bits, but it sounds rock hard. And it feels rock hard. It'd probably be great for doing lights, if I'm honest. But as I say, as soon as you come to sand it doesn't like it particularly. It's just, it's sort of rock hard, you know, and I don't know, it's just when you get into the guts of it, it goes a little bit soft and squidgy and everything else like that. But generally, it's okay for doing things the light can get to. It's just when the light can't physically get to it, then you sort of have trouble with it. But yeah, that's the one it is. This one's the Bondic one, exactly the same. Obviously, I presume it comes from the same place, but it comes in this nice little case, and you have it there just like that. So yeah, we have had it, we have tried it. As I say, you could probably get away with lights, and Steve, you could probably use it for doing your missing light.
I could, yeah.
You could stick it on the back, put a blob, zap it, and then paint it afterwards, and you'd be fine. So yeah.
Oh, Ray, me other dolphin. There's an idea.
You what?
I've got another dolphin, haven't I, in the back? Well, it's the navy one.
Yeah.
another
Just the light off.
French version of it. Yeah. Can't
So
believe my
yes.
light's missing.
I've got to check to see that the underside ones are on. At least my windscreen wipers are drying, are they? Yeah, they're drying. That's good. The Ouija wipers are on.
Oh, yeah, I've got my underside ones there ready to go on. I've just painted them silver for the time being, and then I've got to paint them orange once they're on.
Cool. Right, okay, so next up, Rob says, hi Phil and Steve, what colour do you use when chipping and dry brushing an armoured vehicle? I've noticed a lot of people using black for their base coat for chipping and for dry brushing. What colours do you use? Thanks and keep up the great work, really enjoying it, Bob. Steve?
Right, for chipping, if I'm going for the kind of the rust look chips, I use my favourite colour, and a lot of guys use it, is model colours German Cam Brown Black, or Black Brown. It's 70822. It's a fantastic colour. Gives you that kind of old metal when it's all chips taken away and it's all started to rust and tarnish, so that's a really good colour. Also for chipping, if you get your base colour paint and lighten it with either greys, buff, whatever colour you want to lighten it by about 2 or 3 shades lighter than the base coat, and then use that as your primary chipping colour. So you apply chipping with that, and then you can come over the top and then use the German Cam Black Brown over the top, and then it gives you that nice 3-dimensional effect. So you've got a chip that's gone right down to bare metal, and then if you base colour will give you that little scratches that you get if you just dinged your car, or because if you notice when a scratch, well, especially say for example on cars, it'd be more white. It's the varnish that scratches, unless it goes right down. But on armour, it tends to be, if you see a chip, it tends to be a couple of shades lighter than the base coat, and also then that colour is brilliant for dry brushing. So when you're dry brushing, I prefer to take the base of each, several different camo colours, and dry brush with that, a lightened version. It just gives it more depth. As for using black, I can't see what you do, because metal doesn't go black. The idea of a chip, you can paint, and metal doesn't tarnish black. It tarnishes with a kind of a browny black colour, a really deep rust colour. So I would never use that, and I'd never use it for dry brushing. Can't see when I'd ever use black, because when you're dry brushing, you want to use a lighter colour, because your dry brushing gives you highlights, and that's what you have to do when you're putting highlights over all the raised details. Only time you darken your base colour is if you're going into your nooks and crannies and adding shadows.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's a good colour. You can also, I know some of ammo, MIG by ammo, whatever you call them, AK, MIG ammo, you can get rust sets which are really, really good, because you get about 6 different shades of rust, so they're good for all your chipping and weathering, and you can buy them individual now, which is good. They call it chipping colour, which is basically this. Black, cam brown, black, whatever. That's what they've done. They've just taken this colour, put it in a bottle, and called it chipping colour. So I go for. But yeah, I can't see why people are using black. I know a lot of people now are starting to prime with black.
Yeah.
They prime the whole model with black, and then they're adding white. You spray over your base colour, green or sand or whatever. You're only putting a light coat over, so the black and the white then are acting as your shade colours. Yeah. But again, I'm not a big fan of that. I'd rather do it the proper way of post shading your colours.
Yeah.
And if you want to add more shadows, use a bit of oil paint, because then you're adding a different. We're all green. You're breaking up the colour. You can add a little dark blue oil paint in the shadows, and that'll darken the green as you blend it in. So you get a little hint of blue in there, and it just breaks up all the colours. even dark browns in there, you know. So think of it like that, and then you're breaking up the colour. You're not just having a black base coat.
Yeah.
So yeah.
No, cool, definitely. Right, okay, so Mark says, hi both, question, can you mix Tamiya with Vallejo surface primers? Cheers. Yeah.
Can we? Should we have an experiment time, Phil?
Go on then.
Right.
Do you want to give it a whirl?
Yeah, I've got some here actually, I think. Yeah.
I've just looked actually what I've done with my surface primers. When you're saying Vallejo surface primers, we assume do you mean the polycarbonate type? Or just the one they have? Which one have you got in your hand?
I have got the German red brown surface primer, the polyurethane.
Right, okie dokie.
Do you know I use this for that if I'm doing bases to add a little border colour around the edge.
Yeah.
Works a treat. But it does brush on well actually. I just don't like it takes too long before I can sand it. That's what put me off.
That is my downside to it.
Squirt some in there. What have I got?
Well.
What have I got? Plenty of bit of grey in there. How have I managed to get that all over me? Put a drop in. Stir it and do a brush.
Give it a mix, see what we get.
Well, it ain't gone horribly wrong or anything.
Usually you can tell straight away if it's going to mix or not.
Yeah, that's mixed fine.
Yeah.
There we go.
There we go, perfect. So the answer to that one there, Mark, yeah, you can mix them together, no problems at all.
To be honest, that's a nice colour for a hull of a ship.
It is actually, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm covered in it now. How do I
Your idea to do these. Okay, Andrew Blake says, what do you guys think of Mig's new product, oil brushes? It's just thin oil paint in an eyeliner bottle, or a useful product for some. Thoughts, Steve? See, if I say anything, everyone's just going to be on a hate mission.
Right.
Hold on, I'll say it. I think we've had this question before. To be honest, this came up on, was it last week's Q&A or the live show, whichever one it was. But anyway, it was somebody, I think, described it beautifully as saying, once again, it's a MIG product that is just a thinned version of something else.
Yeah.
They said all MIG do is thin other people's products. So it's other colours, it's just thinned product and add more money. So they thin it and then charge you twice as much. So
I can see it. It's a good thing that it's neat and tidy. Only problem with oils is the lids get stuck on there sometimes. It takes forever getting the lid off. And also you have to put it on a bit of cardboard for ages. So the oil drips out for 20 minutes. It's not one of those products that you can just pull out and use. You have to think, right, I'm going to do some oils today.
yeah.
Plan about 20 minutes, half hour in advance. So on that side, it's a good. But it's just oil paint. You buy yourself a big tube that's got to last you a lifetime. One of those ain't got to last long, I don't think.
No.
You could even go to the point where, as soon as it came out, one of the guys, Nathan, sent me a link, and it's them bottles. Buy 100 of them for tenner. From the Flory, you could buy it, and then as you're using your oil paint, you could mix your own. Just put a bit of oil paint, mix it up, and there you go. You've got it.
Yeah, you're good to go. Yeah.
And then you've got
My problem with it all was that when Mig, you know, and obviously I don't suppose it's him. He's probably got a marketing company. They're a big company, and all these people, and they started, you know, obviously the ball rolling and the guesswork of what it was going to be. But I think everyone felt a little bit let down and conned almost when they were saying it's going to be the latest big thing, a game changer for the hobby, and all of this. So they started a hype roll with not a crap product, but a product that's around. It's not new. They were saying how it was a new type of thing, and new this, and it was going to be a game changer to the hobby. And well, no, it's not. If they come out with a new type of glue, a new type of filler, or something else like that, then yeah, it would be. And fair play, we'd all go and buy it like lemmings, as we all do with new products, and away you go. But at the end of the day, it is another thinned oil paint. You know, and it's, you know, their washes, a lot of people say, well, why don't people just buy a bit of enamel and add thinners to it? Because that's all what mixed stuff is. You know, well, yes, it is. But people buy it because it's easier, just that it's at the right mixture levels and everything else and do it. But I do think it's quite funny when somebody, I can't remember who said it, but was like, it's just MIG doing what MIG always doing, just a thin product and then charge more money for it. So, you know, I thought that was quite apt. But I think it was just that thing, it was so much hype about it. And this is what it was. And when it came out, everyone was like, and is that it? It's oil paint. Brilliant. We've all got it. So, but as you say...
Well, it reminds me, you know, the hype and all that. It's like somebody's promised you the best burger in the world ever. And then you end up going to the burger van that filled it on Saturday night and get food poisoning from it.
Yeah, probably. That was it. That's
you know that. Oh, well, I shouldn't have said, but you know what I mean? It's that, it's got to be, and then it's, and that's it, you know, a big letdown. And I think people, they try to find all next, and, you know, they try to find a product that we don't really need. All these companies now, they just try to think something that, if we put that in a bottle, you know, it's all been driven by money, and no one's come up with an actual product that's got to be of use. It's how can we make the next couple of quid off the modeler? And I think it's a bit of a shame.
I don't know if it's me. If I had the time and really the inkling, I like modelling, and that's why I don't get involved with it. But it's a bit like we made our own version, if you like, of the styrene filler. And it works exactly the same as the way I told you all how to do it. I could have manufactured that quite easily. I could have sold you all of this stuff. I could have got a hype train on, we could have gone for it, and I probably could have made a lot of money from it. But at the end of the day, it's not anything new. It's something that's been around a while. I just refined the idea of it, if you like. But it's not worth the hassle. I'm a modeler, I like modelling. But in my mind, I've probably got 10 products that I think would be really handy to the modeler that haven't been done yet. That is something completely new. Okay, that yes, somebody could, who's got the time, the finances, the company to be able to manufacture it, and go through all the legal hoops of the product and licensing and everything else. I can't be bothered with any of that. I enjoy modelling. But why these other companies who are so-called modelling companies who have got those resources don't do that, and all they're doing is just reinventing the wheel every single time they bring out a new product instead of something that's new, that hasn't been done before. Why doesn't a company just put the time and effort into, like I did with the washes, with the clay wash, finding and refining a product instead of it just a new type of filler that will shrink and do everything else? Why don't they come out with one that does work, perhaps with an ultraviolet pen? There's fillers that are out there, but they're not refined enough to be able to be used. Tamiya make an ultraviolet active filler, okay, but it's horrible stuff to work with because it's gooey and it's like a paste, it's like an oil. But somebody out there can do it. It's doable, but I'm not being horrible to these companies, but it's like, it's a quick way of them making money. You know, they just come out with this, but calling it a revolution and a brand new thing, I thought was terrible, because it wasn't at the end of the day. It was same old, it was another thin product, you know, and away you went. But I think if those companies just put that time, effort, money, resources into designing something like a good filler that's all round works, a good clear glue that will go down and works just as good as, you know, a weld action glue, but does not fog clear parts, you know. Spend your time and their money and resources doing that rather than just making a quick buck. That's my thing.
But it would be good, and the companies can have this one for free. Why don't you have a kind of a Dragon's Den type thing where you say to modelers, look, if you've got a brilliant idea for a product, you know, present it to us, tell us all about it, and if we like it and run with it, we'll pay you a royalty. So they're discovering all, because there must be modelers out there who've got some amazing ideas for products that really, really work, that, like you said, they wouldn't know how to go about bringing it to market, or they don't have the funds. So these companies are there, so why don't you go out and for these modelers who have these ideas and develop them, you know,
develop it with them. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm not going to say the company, but obviously there's a company who very closely modelled their product on ours, shall we say, but they release and sell a cheap version of our wash. because they couldn't be bothered to put in the effort to find out exactly what is in my wash, which I spent 5 years to find that exact thing, and that's why ours works totally different to theirs, and in my opinion works a lot better. Theirs is a lesser product, say, shall we say, because they didn't spend that time to do it, because it's almost cashing in. Oh, we've made a product, it does this, we'll just go off and flog it. It's the same with a certain company, sanders, who just use basically nail files and brushes that you can buy anywhere. Where ours, at least we had the thing of changing the grit so it works for plastic. It was done that it works with styrene, so it doesn't overheat it, it doesn't melt it, it sands it perfectly. They're all designed to do it in a certain way and a certain style, because we spent the time developing it to work for modelling, not just trying to cash in on something by flogging a nail file or a sanding sponge or whatever it is, which is a standard industry sanding, grits for the nail industry. At least ours are slightly different, and they are designed, and the grits are made for working with plastics and things like that, rather than just working for nails.
Well, it's like
stuff. But
I think I briefly mentioned it on Sunday. When you're getting especially a model product, you want someone who's spent developing the product, testing it. Like you've done with your wash, you've evolved it several times over the years. Companies like Vallejo, when they do the thinners, they've had it lab tested. They'll have big labs testing these products, so they developed it, changed it over the years. Where some companies come out and they just try and do what they think it is, and just they're not thinking about the modeler. It's see how much cash we can make and sell, and they sell inferior products. There's a lot of companies out there that do it.
It is, absolutely, and unfortunately, as you're saying, it just annoys me sometimes when especially the bigger companies come along and sort of cash in on an idea. Just make a new one and design something that's new and exciting. Like, as I say, MRP paints is nothing new, but it's just a slight different spin on it, because technically it's just a good quality of pigment with a self-leveling thinner, but it works, but they're not trying to reinvent paint. It is just paint at the end of the day. It just happens to be what I think is a very good mixture. Whatever ratios they use, which I don't know what it is, but it's perfect, absolutely perfect for spraying for our hobby. It might not be any good if you want to do anything else with it, but for our hobby it works because it covers exceptionally well, very good colour, and it's solid and it's hard as nails. But at the end of the day, it's pigment and self-leveling thinners, so. But again, it's getting it and making it and refining it so it's a good product instead of a slightly inferior one.
But I wonder how long he's been going though. MRP, what his first paint were like compared to
this. That's it.
It'll have taken quite a few years to get the product out.
Yeah. Well, you think when I started on the wash, which was purely for me, and it was only because everybody wanted it after they saw me using it. I had no intention ever of selling it. That it was that thing of saying, right, okay, well, we're going to do it this way, and then because a lot of people wanted it, you try and make it more affordable, because it was quite expensive to do making like one bottle, but when you start ramping it up, so you're doing it, and then very quickly it was a case of, well, look, if we're making it in these quantities, the clay we were using wasn't as good. It was quite gritty. If anyone's got our old washes, they'll know it used to separate within literally hours. You could put it on your shelf and it would just be clear water at the top, and you'd end up with clay at the bottom. So we then refined the clay, and I took my time, and we had testing, and I had like 40 different types of clay. I had literally clay in my hands, and
there you go through.
Phil. That's it. Yeah. So is that the Pro Modeler one?
Yeah, that's the really early Pro Modeler.
So there you go. You can see it's like water on the top.
Yeah.
That's where it used to separate so heavily, and that's because the pigment we were using, the pigment count in there was so heavy, it used to just drop out of suspension really, really quickly. But now we have these other ones, and like this one has been sat here and I haven't touched that. You can see it's still clear at the top, but it's nowhere near. That's been sat there for weeks and weeks and weeks. Since I did the change when we did all this place, and it's literally only halfway out of suspension now. Other colours won't come out of suspension. Rust is a good one. Rust will hold its own forever because it's very fine pigment. But it's the clay, and it was just doing that thing of refining and refining. And I think we only actually had 3 proper changes to it of when we were ramping it up and going through the things of it. But as I say, it just seems to be that they release a product, that's it, forget about it, move on. Refine it, improve it, make it better, make it more workable. Right, rant over, moving on. Okay.
With camo still.
Eh?
I've even got that winter camo in the pump bottle.
That was a good one. The trouble with that was it used to cost us around about £5 a bottle to make it.
Yeah.
Because the clay was so expensive. So, and that's like, I think it worked out 70% clay. That's what it is to water. So it's a lot of money in that one. That's why we stopped doing it, because it wasn't affordable to do it. So, okay, David says, hi guys, question. What would you use to mask on a 1/24th scale kit? I believe RAF camo in 1940 was soft edge, or is there a mask set I could use? In 1/24th scale, I would freehand it. I know, to be honest, wait for this comes out next week, and when I talk to you about this guy behind me, I sprayed this today and I talk about it quite a lot. In fact, I might be able to zoom the camera, trying to be clever here. There we go. I've actually done the camo work on that one, as you can see. Sorry, it's back to front to me, this camera. I feel like Steve now when he's going the wrong way with it. But that one there is obviously freehand, and I talk about it that technically 48th for something that is supposed to be just a very faint line. It's not supposed to be a real soft edge camo. It's supposed to be a hardish one. It's about as close as you can go. If you want to go for a weathered look, so when we did the flanker, for instance, I wanted it to look worn and weathered. You want it to be really soft, because that's what they are. They tend to fade and they blur between because of the weathering process. But when they're not weathered, you need them to be a little bit harder. So, but because you're up now and you're into 1/24th realm, I would probably go freehand with it. Yeah, that's not a problem. Or do the old tackworm way. If you're not very good with your actual getting in a little bit closer and being a bit more careful with your edges, then use this stuff, because that will give you it. You don't really want to use a hard edge, because otherwise it's going to look like a die-cast job or a wooden model with a hard edge line around it. The other way, of course, you can do is print it off, the actual plans that you've got for it with the colour call-outs and all the rest of it, print them, blow them up to the correct size, and then put blobs of blue tack underneath it, and then cut them out and then place them on top, so you get a slight feathered edge as well as you're spraying over it, and that's usually a good way of doing it. It just gives you a little bit of a soft edge, but you definitely need a little bit on there, just a bit to break it up, otherwise it will look a little bit fake. Steve, how would you do yours?
Yeah, I'd do it freehand as well. I just think the slightly softer edge, it just gives it a bit more realism.
Yeah, I think as well. It gives it more scale effect.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people are, oh yeah, but in reality they're hard. I know, but again, we're doing that thing. We're trying to fool the viewer. And I think when I look at that one over there, when I walked in the room just before we coming out, I looked down over it and I thought, actually, that turned out all right. You know, but I'm uber critical with it. But I'm going to sand that. I'm going to sand the paintwork again. It seems to be my latest trick with it, just to knock it back a little bit more and just to break it up a bit, to give it a bit more sort of differences between the paint colours. Okay, so this is a new poster actually. Who's this? Thomas says, "Hi Phil and Steve. Thanks for a great show. I really like the format with the daily shows and Q&A. Those are the reasons for joining. Well, welcome very much. To the question, I was looking through my stash for the upcoming I can't ever pronounce it, open fire group build for the German one, and found a Messerschmitt 262 fighter prototype V065 in 1/48 scale, which I haven't built because of those white woolen tufts in the back of the aircraft." That's weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
Can you see that, Steve? You got that on yours?
Yeah.
Put that on the screen.
Yeah, I've got it on mine. It obviously shows show airflow over the tail, isn't it? With it being
I assume being a prototype, that's what it was for. Hold on. Hopefully, we're gonna. There it is. That's the one we want to see. That's it. Yeah, I assume. Yeah, they're the little stringy bits, isn't it, to show the airflow as it's making its way. My question is, how would you do these? As I haven't seen any properly done in the scale model. You're right, I've never seen anyone do that either. Yeah.
Only way you could do it, you need to start off by taking a pencil and drawing the lines over the tail section, so you get them all in a neat rows. And then the longest way around it would be to drill tons of holes, and then you could put a tiny little bit of lead wire in, and then go paint it all up, and then you'd have to brush paint all the lead wire white. Or
Yeah.
you could use a little bit of cotton, maybe white cotton, because it comes out, doesn't it? It's not just a little mark, and it's actual string coming out.
I
So
was
you
going to
have,
say, yeah, from the photo it looks like you could just put little white marks, but that's not going to look realistic, is it?
no, you can see it like on the underside where it's coming down. You can tell there it's all thread.
Yeah,
So
it's just
yeah,
aluminium.
it is. You draw the lines on, mark up all the dots are, and drill and use either thin lead wire or a bit of cotton and glue that in place.
Mm.
There's no easy way of doing it, really, is there?
I was going to say, really, at the end of the day, I think it's going to be one of those ones where you'd have to literally bite the bullet and say, okay, um, if I'm honest, the way I would probably do it would be to drill every single hole, put in long bits of cotton, say, PVA glue them all into place, okay, and then afterwards cut them all. Once, yeah, have them hanging out like a giant sheep, and then shear the thing so they're all to the right length, and then just literally let them hang. But what you could do as well, there's another little trick you can do with wax. So if you get a little bit of beeswax on your finger and then rub them all, it'll make them so they're not like bits of fluff hanging off so much, that they literally do hang down. It'll be more in scale, it'll get rid of the fluffiness of it, and do that with it, and you could literally rub them in. Or the other way obviously is to do what they've done, I assume, and they've glued them to the surface with a bit hanging off. So, and that's actually how they've done it all. But as I said, it's one of those things where I would spend a couple of evenings and you're working your way around and doing them. Definitely not an easy one to do. It'll be very impressive to see that one done.
It'd look pretty good, actually. It'd really stand out.
Yeah. Yeah, I would love to see that. If you do that, I will be following that one, because it would be something. I've never seen anybody try and recreate that at all. Your other way, of course, would be spray the entire tail black, and then, as I say, paint lead wire white, chop them all up, make little angles, and then just glue them on. Tiny bit of PVA glue and drop them onto the surface, and then the ones hanging off, pull them so they can actually hang down. But again, as I said, I've never seen it, and you've said you never see it. I think there's a good reason to that. It's a lot of work, but I think if it was done right, and just take your time with it, just do a bit at a time, and it'll be fantastic. Very good.
300 holes later.
Yeah, probably more than that, actually.
It's where you find a picture at front end, and that's all covered in it as well.
That's it. Yeah, actually everywhere is all the wings.
Yeah, on top of the wings.
Yeah, crikey. Definitely a good one. Anyway, my question, another question. I've used the Flory models washes quite a long time ago, but I have a problem as the current project, it leaves some spots behind when cleaning it from the model. I can remove these. I always seen the work, but using the washes, do you think this is because it's the bad underwork? To be honest, what it is, it's getting caught in that bit of surface. You see this a lot. It's either what is known as a damp spot. So even if you've painted or you've clear coated, sometimes you get an area that's still a little bit damp. So when you put the wash over it, it can actually etch into it. And once it etches in, and that's done, you get the little dark spot. Very rare it happens, to be honest, but looking at the areas they're in, just lost my photo, it does look like that's what it's actually done. Maybe you've got a little bit of a dark spot in there. There's a little thing you can do. If you get a very old sanding sponge and just lightly rub it, chances are you can take it clean off, because what you actually do, you polish the surface a bit so the wash can't etch into it anymore, so it just wipes away. But if you ever get that situation where you get a little bit stuck, if you sand it with an old sanding stick, or old sanding sponge preferably, a warm one, it's enough to take the edge off of it, and then you can just wipe it away. The other option as well is to use a little tiny bit of airbrush cleaner, very little amount, okay? Just give it a little wipe and you'll find that's enough to eat it, and it will take it clean off without going through to your paint and all the rest of it. But obviously don't put a load of airbrush cleaner on and then scrub it, because you're going to wear through your paint. But I think that's what it is. It's just getting caught in the texture underneath. It does happen occasionally, but a bit of a rub with the sanding sponge will literally take it clean off. Natural weathering spots, I call them. Sometimes I've left them on, to be honest, because it looks quite nice. Keep up your great work. Well, I hope that works for you. And as I say, if you do go down that line of doing that 262, I'd love to follow along with that. And we would definitely put it on the new show as well, because that would be a good one. Hi Phil. Sorry, who was this? This is Neil again. It was the other day. You mentioned at a review a few weeks back you were going to revisit or see if it had yellowed or gone cloudy over time. Yeah, well that's what we'll do. I'm still waiting to see if things do, but I will go and put this up on a shelf up there, but that was the plan. We were just going to see if it does yellow over time. While I remember, how effective do you think camouflage is on a modern aircraft? There doesn't seem to be much point with so many sensors and satellites, etc. True, it's that old thing, isn't it? I like the way they always say now, isn't it? That if an aircraft is in a dogfight, it's dead, because you should never see it. But it's that thing about them being on the ground as well. I think sometimes they do them grey, so they just blend in everywhere. You know, because technically you look at the Russian stuff, they tend to do theirs in more sort of dazzle camos and things like that, but all the sort of Western stuff just tends to be gunship grey, ghost greys, things like that, just to blend in. So yes, it does make you wonder really, with everything that it is now, and thermals and all the rest of it. Not sure. We need to get some of our military chaps in here to tell us why they do it. Could you paint your plain red and no one would care? So okay, Ben. Oh look, it's our Ben, that's handy. Afternoon guys. Slightly philosophical question, don't use big words with me. I'm struggling a bit with a build this year and I felt like my skills have plateaued or even gone backwards. Apart from the is this normal question, any advice or experience on getting through spells like this? Steve, what do you reckon? What's your mojo buster type thing?
I don't know, if you really skills are struggling and you're a bit down, just find a kit that looks fun to build and you really go enjoy building it. And I think if you get something that you've always, maybe even a kit you've always wanted to build, just get it on your bench, and even if it's more difficult than anything you built before, you got to put more effort into it, because it's an expensive kit, blah blah blah, it's something you've always wanted to build. You put more effort into it and try new techniques on it as well, and because you all these things put together, you'll do an amazing job on it, guaranteed. And it's finding something that you go enjoy building, that you really really want to build, and I think that way it should just get your mojo back on track a bit, especially if you've got a kit thing and it's all bogged down. Just go and say, right, I'll put that to one side a bit and go and get something you really want to build, that you go enjoy it. That's what I do.
Also, I'd say if your skills have plateaued, it's sometimes what happens is, I'm guilty of it as well, when you're working on certain kits and I'm trying to show you stuff, I don't like to try new stuff on a big project. So for instance, when I did the 190, the big super build, the last thing I'd want to do is try something brand new to me, like a product or a weathering technique or something else like that that could kill it. Okay, so what I would recommend is getting something that's a quick, cheap, straightforward build that goes together really well, and then you can try something new with it. So this might be, I don't know, perhaps have a go at rescribing, or doing sort of metal works or gloss works and that, but instead of doing it on a big project, so you've got so far along you don't really want to risk anything to it because it's going great, do it on something small. Okay, so perhaps grab yourself something that you can knock together in a day or two, have a go with it, see how you get on with it, and if it doesn't go right, it's not the end of the world. And that way you can try and do something a little bit different to it. And the other big thing is just get your mojo back. So like for me, I did the usual, I don't know if you guys recognize it, but I usually, after I do a big project, I'll do something for fun. Okay, so from my point of view, it was the flanker. We came off of doing the 190. It was a huge big project. I've been working on it months and everything else. Your mojo, by the end of it, it's like, right, okay, I'm glad it's out of the way. So straight away off of that, we did the 1 day build, which obviously we did over a series of little videos, and it's just that thing, getting the mojo back. Right, okay, we can go through. And although I was using a brand new paint with it, the great thing about it was, if it had gone wrong, it doesn't matter because it's a little kit. And I did, and I thoroughly enjoyed doing it and absolutely loved it, and that's why I intend to do more in the future. Okay, but it is that thing. Get your mojo back, get the thing. So it may be a case of switching out, have a go at something else. I know we know, Ben, you do a lot of obviously the Gundam stuff and stuff like that. Maybe have a go at something completely odd, you know, completely left field in the Gundam world, or in something else. Have a go at a bit of armor, an aircraft, a helicopter, something you normally wouldn't do, and just throw yourself into it instead of like thinking, oh well, I'm going to do this, that, and the other. Just flow with the kit and see where it takes you. Okay, you might change your mind halfway through that I'm not going to paint it like this, I'm not going to do this to it, or something else, and generally like that. But I try and mix and mash things up, and I know a lot of people, and it's been mentioned this year again, I get a few people say to me, you don't do as many aircraft as you used to. That's because I try and encase everything into the site and with the hobby. So I like to show everything else. So it doesn't matter if it's a Star Wars blaster when we did Hans's blaster, or if we've done a one-day build, or if we've done a big thing, we've done a truck, if we've done an airliner this year, all these different things, and helicopters, is just to try and mix things up. And it keeps my interest going as well. I sit here day after day doing it, and not a lot else. And it is that thing of I have to come down here and go through the steps of doing it all. And if I wasn't enjoying it, you guys would certainly feel it quite a bit. So it is my way of keeping things mixed up, something a little bit different. Doing the Gundam next, which I'm really excited about doing, because I see everybody else doing theirs and it's fantastic. And then I think, it'd be nice if I could like get in there and get on with it. But as you say, I want to dedicate some time. We'll get it up here, get these out of the way this week, come in, and I can throw myself into it, and hopefully we're really going to enjoy it.
And also, you have to think, by doing different genres of modelling, you got to learn so many new stuff. Like if you go into, you mainly just build aircraft, try armour, because the techniques you got to learn, weathering, stuff like that, cross over then onto aircraft, and then you approach your aircraft differently, because you've learned new techniques that will benefit your aircraft modelling. And try building a car, try building a spaceship, just try these different things, because you'll learn something new, and that's how you improve. And all the skills are transferable between different genres.
And I think that's the big thing. A lot of people, they say to me about, I'm not into that, I haven't watched that video. And I say to people, if you watch the, I don't know, whatever build it is video, and they say, oh yeah, but I'm not into armour, or I'm not into Star Wars, or I'm not into sci-fi. And like, as I always say, it's got nothing to do with the model. It's to do with how we tackle building it. Forget it is a Dolphin helicopter, because you're not into helicopters, but think of it as in, well, there's a lot of gloss work on there, there's a lot of clear stuff, so actually attaching all this clear stuff without making a complete hash of it, and the different approaches to doing it, and painting and weathering and everything else is completely different from this to it is doing that, or any other model. So it is that thing of like, each time I do a different video, I try and show a different technique, a different way of doing things. As I said, this year and last year especially, I didn't use my washes pretty much on anything, because we were literally just in that thing. I wanted to show and explain about using oils and enamel washes and things like that, just to show it's not just clay wash on every single build I do. I will use everything else, and to show you guys that if you don't get on well with that, there is other options out there and different ways of doing things and everything else like that. And it's just that thing of like, using your skill set that you do on a particular thing, and then thinking, well, I can use that and take that to something else. So for instance, I think there's a very good crossover between aviation and armour, especially when you do a helicopter, because you weather helicopters like you'd weather a tank, in exactly the same way. So if I was to be doing a Apache, I'd weather it the same way as I've just done a tank. Because it is that transferable way of doing things. So definitely from that point of view, having a go at something that normally you don't do, and just use all your skills and take it with it. So if you're an aircraft modeler, have a go at a bit of armour, but build it as if you're building an aircraft. And you'd be amazed how well some things transfer across. Streaking and grime issues and stuff like that are one thing, because you're doing it different on armour, but fading paint and stuff like that, if you do a lot of aircraft, you'll find that will work very well on armour, and stuff like that, and vice versa. It all works the other way around. If you just do armour stuff and all the rest of it, have a go at some helicopters, because you'll be fine, they are very, very similar, and you can take some good skill sets across.
And don't be afraid to try something new. Even if you're building an aircraft, right? Try freehand airbrushing instead of making masks. If you make a mistake, you can always spray over it, Just wipe the wing. Say, try it on the wing. You can always wipe it off with a bit of IPA and a cloth.
Yeah.
So try. Don't be afraid to try stuff. Give it a go. If it doesn't go wrong, just sand it back, spray it over again, and start again.
I explained on this one when we're doing this one. Obviously this is completely freehand over this because I want to have a more softer look to it, give it a better scale effect. But like I say to it, we obviously started with the light colour down there, then we went in with the dark green and then that sort of weirdo green over the top, and then we went back with the light colour. And as I point out, it doesn't matter if it takes you 100 attempts at it, you just keep going back over it. You're not going to kill or fill up panel lines and paint. You're spraying it down such a thin coat, you can just slightly adjust everything as you make your way around the entire model. So don't be too frightened of thinking you can never do it. You can literally just take your time, and if it's not looking right, if your pattern's wrong, if you've gone wrong, a different place, carry on, come back to it like I did here. Because to be honest, I went back over it with the buff colour last, just to change some of the patterns because the patterns weren't correct. So right, okay, it needs to go further around here because you can cover up. And you can actually fix. And to be honest, down under this part down in here, I got it completely wrong because I painted green right to the bottom. It shouldn't have been, so we just come along with a buff, we fix the problem, we just put this little line in down there and we're good to go. So it is that thing. And again, it's like, it doesn't matter. It's just a little bit of fun, it's a hobby, have a go with it. If it doesn't work and you hated it to the hell, then you can mask it, and use a soft mask or a hard mask, whichever way you want to do it. But it is that thing, keeping it fun, that's how it should be. Okay, Brett says, and then we'll get on for a little bit. Enjoying the Q&A today. I have a question for Phil. You reference using homemade styrene filler, and having not seen anything where you talk about making it, can you please explain how you make it? It's in the forum. Sorry, it's not in the, it is in the forum. I think it's everywhere. It's on the main site as well. If you go into the tutorials area, filler and glue, I think it's in there as well. And I did a complete walkthrough of how I make it. At the end of the day, all it is Tamiya extra thin and styrene sheet. Now the secret is, and this is where everyone goes wrong, is to actually use, if I can grab some, is to actually use proper styrene sheet. Don't use sprue. That's where everybody's gone wrong. If you use sprue, especially if you use Airfix, Italeri sprue and Revel, it's really soft and it never goes off. It just stays slightly soft. Okay, and that's the thing to it. So I had loads of people when I first was on about it, they saying, oh, I can't get it to work, it does this, it does that. That's what it was. They were using cut up sprue. It never works quite as well with sprue as it does if you're using proper high grade styrene sheet. So if you just buy a bit of like 1mm thick styrene sheet, chop it up, chuck it in, bit of extra thin, make it to taste. That's the point. How did my other one turn out? It's all right now. This is the one that went rock hard. So I actually re-thinned it and we're okay now, we are back. But I actually, when we were on the show, we mentioned this on the last show I think, and I went to pick up my bottle of it and it was completely like tar. This is my other thick one. So you can mix it up to whichever one. This one here is very, very thick, I don't know if you can see that hanging on the end there, but that's my thick version of it. And then this is my standard one, which is probably the same consistency of like a normal thick PVA glue, and it's just like that, so you can do it in there. But the video is on there, and I'm pretty sure it's free to watch as well for other people watching it. If you go to our YouTube page, I'm pretty sure it's free in there. If it's not, I'll make it free in there as well. Okay, so yeah.
Mine's quite, I've got a thin one and a thick one, but my thick one I used sprue. Tell by the grey colour, and it works a treat. It really is thick.
Yeah,
but I'll use this for big jobs. I used it all over the front end of the Dolphin because it was that bad, and then left it a few days for it to fully go solid, and then you're just sanding normal plastic near enough then. So it's,
and to be honest, I used it on this one down the back end. It's got quite a complicated back end. If you build that kit, you'll know it. There's a horrible seam line, and I just put it straight in there. It's mess free. It dries pretty quick as well, and it's sandable within a couple of hours. And you can just sand it, and away you go. But the usual thing again, a bit like styrene, don't sand it with like a fine sanding stick, because you'll find you'll heat it up and it will go soft. So if you use like a medium sanding stick, the blue one works fine if you use NARS, and then both sides of it, use the coarse side and then go into the actual sandy side, and it'll be absolutely fine with it. But if you heat it up, it tends to get soft again. So if you're over polishing and over sanding, you put so much heat to the plastic it goes soft, and I know some of you said about that. But I did have one guy and he was saying, oh, I've tried it and it doesn't work and it's crap and it's all the rest of it. And when I went went through the ins and outs of it, he'd actually been using Airfix styrene. Well, Airfix is really soft stuff at the best of the time. It never goes hard. It's not like, this is Hasegawa's stuff. So Hasegawa's is like, you drop it, it sounds really sharp. It almost snaps. It doesn't bend. It will physically snap. Their styrene they use, all styrenes aren't the same. But if you're using like the white stuff you can buy, you know, like these, I usually, like with mine, if it's too thin, I'll chop up a bit of this and I'll just chop it up into little chips, chuck it in. Next morning you come down and you're good to go. And if you wanted to, you can add paint to it as well. Add a bit of paint to it, that colours it. If you wanted to have a black filler, if you wanted to have a white filler, you just leave it normal obviously. But if you wanted grey, red, you can do different colours with it. And to be honest, that's what I was going to manufacture. I was going to manufacture and sell you bottles of this stuff and take over the world with it. But at the end of the day, why? You can knock it up yourself, you know? And do it like that. We were going to do it in different colours. We were going to do red, black, white and grey. That was how it was going to be. But as you say,
well, that's all I use now. On anything, as long as it's styrene.
Yeah,
I use all the
styrene. It's,
yeah, it's brilliant.
Yeah. The thing is I love about it, and when I first started sort of developing the idea with it for using industrial stuff, was the way that I always had a problem, one with shrinkage, because you find, you know, normal fillers shrink, but secondly, when you were rescribing, you'd go along and then you'd get to your soft putty and it would drop in. Or if you were riveting, you're going along, putting your rivets in, and you get to the bit of filler and you put a bloody great hole through it. And that's because it's different to the plastic around it. But if it's the same as the plastic that's on it, when you rivet, rescribe and that, you don't even know where it is. And you just glide straight over the top of it. So, and that was the reason for doing it, really, at the end of the day. But as I say, I don't use anything else. I haven't actually got another filler here. I just use that all the time. And it's great for intakes as well because it self-levels. I used it on all the gear and then never sanded it for doing all the ejector pin holes in this lot. So I don't even know where they are on this. So you can use it for that as well. Just put it into ejector pin holes and it will self-level over the top. And you can do it that way. So good stuff. Anyway, do you want to do a little bit to yours? Are you going to unmask yours today or gloss it?
Well, I was got to gloss it. Do a quick gloss. So if I quickly put it on now, it should, because it dries quite quick, and hopefully I can ungloss it by holding the front. So I'll just mix up my stuff.
So for this one, what Steve's doing is, because I can talk through people, are you using Nipper, yeah?
Yeah, I'm using 2-pack, so...
Right, so this is, because we knew we was doing this, so I'm all prepared, look, for once. This is what Steve is going to use. Now, if you haven't seen anything about this, go off and have a look at the Ducati build. It's probably your best one. I explain it great length all about it. I've used it on other things as well since then. We used it on the airliner. To be honest, this had a coat of it. That's why it's so shiny. Literally, it's rock hard as well. This is an industrial 2-pack lacquer. When we say industrial, it's obviously automotive grade. It's not cheap. But one of these will probably last you like 100 lifetimes. It's complete overkill. But to be honest, Matt sent me some. It works so well, so I thought I'd buy some more. Being 2-pack, what that actually means is it's technically you have the item itself, which is this one. This is it, isn't it? Which one's the hardener? I can never work out which one's the hardener. Oh, that's the hardener. This is it. So you have this. So basically, you can start off with a 50-50 mix, but it technically is a 2-to-1. If I remember rightly, am I right on this? Yeah, it's a 2-to-1 to mix. Okay, so you have 2 parts of the resin stuff, the actual lacquer. You have 1 part of this, which is the hardener. Okay. What I tended to do though, I added a little bit more thinners to it, and for that I used self-leveling thinners. Okay, because it's all lacquer based. Don't forget, this is all the horribles and all the rest of it. But when we say 2-pack lacquer, what we actually mean is it won't dry without it. So it actually has a chemical reaction takes place in the clear as it's sprayed on. Okay, so as soon as you put it into a little bottle, as Steve is doing right now, it's going to start working. Okay, so you are against the gun. You've got around about a 20-minute playtime with this before it's going to go completely off. But when it does go off, that's it. It's like rock hard concrete. It is beautiful. It dries like glass. The great thing about it as well is it self-levels. You don't get runs in it because you actually spray it quite thick. That's what I learned very quickly doing all of mine. It's not to over thin it. If you make it too thin and too wet, it loses its bite. This stuff is brilliant because you spray it on quite thick. It's quite thick, it sticks, it doesn't slide off. It literally hits. And then you can build up quite a big glassy looking layer to it. And once you've got that big glassy looking layer to it, this is going off as well. It's a chemical reaction, as we were saying. So then all of a sudden, within moments, it's gone off. Whereas before, if it has it air drying, then you're going to get drips and all the rest of it. But because stuff is starting to go off, you're going to be absolutely fine. Things against it. It stinks. It's not nice. You really need to have your extractor going. Steve, I don't doubt, will be doing in a moment.
Yeah.
And if you can, bung your mask on as well. This stuff is not nice, okay? But this stuff works beautifully for the hobby. And as I say, when I did the Ducati bike, when we did this with it, like this doesn't count, this is dusty, it's been up on there for ages, goes a pitot tube. But as you can see, this is literally, or hopefully you can see it, it's literally like glass, this thing. Again, no runs, no drips, no nothing. It goes on, it stays, it's lovely stuff to work with. But as I say, it can be a little bit over. Steve's doing his with it, I'm not, because I've unmasked. But in the past, and I don't even know where it is, where is Buster 2? Here he is. If I could close mine up fully, but the trouble is I can't put my doors on. This guy here, if I just change my camera, this guy here, let me move some of this all out of the way. As you can see, I know he's dusty, he's been sat up on top of my roof, okay? But I actually did the canopy with it, and absolutely everywhere on my model with this. And as you can see, again, this stuff is like glass, this just had a coat of it, and this is what we demoed, to be honest, this is the demo one. But I put the canopy down and I did the canopy with it as well, right over the top. So if I was feeling a little bit more inclined to close this thing up down in here and get the sides in, I would probably do the same. But because I can't put my doors on, because quite frankly they don't fit, it's not an option for me to try and do it. But you could technically spray this over the clear parts as well as everything else. But as you can see, this stuff, it is beautiful. It turns to glass, so you get no orange peel, no nothing. And literally you don't do anything. This has never been polished, teacup, sanded in any way, shape or form. This is literally it neat. Okay, find places for this. How's it going?
Yeah, I'm just getting any little specks off where the decals have been. It's all ready for its
Maiden paint coat.
Yeah.
Right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to brush mine with this stuff, just because we say we're doing things different each way. So I'm going to get a new. Okay. And I'm going to try and brush this on, which will be a little bit odd because I've never tried to brush this. I'm pretty sure you could airbrush this on and get away with it. But I'm a bit concerned obviously about getting overspray in the inside of mine, and that is the trouble to it. So, I wonder if I could do the back end.
Try this.
So I'm just wondering if I could get away with spraying my entire back end without hand painting it.
Yeah.
Don't know, we'll try and hand paint it because I'm a
Go
chicken.
and try this film. Might work.
Yeah, what's that? Oh, you got your... Right.
Yeah, right, let's see if this works. So I need to select that.
There could be a slight delay here, people, don't panic.
Yeah, that one.
Hold on. Yeah, it worked. Right, I'll put them onto you so you can see in glorious Technicolor on Steve Cam. Yeah, it's working perfect.
Yay!
Oh yeah.
Needs to be moved that. And then I can move that there. Hey, you can fully see it now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
perfect.
Excellent.
We have a working Steve Cam. Do you know what sort of air pressure you're spraying at, mate?
No, it's quite high actually. It's about 30 psi.
I was going to say, yeah, I used to spray it quite high on mine.
But once you've got it misted on to start with, you can it don't matter if it goes quite wet.
Yeah.
Should really have done the underside first. Can't hold it there. This is a problem.
Yeah.
It's luckily I can hold it where the windows.
Looking good.
Yeah. So I only use a small colour cup because I just think for me the balance is better.
Yeah.
I know everybody differs. Most people use a big one, but I don't know about you, Phil, but I always find it better if you're getting really close as well when applying.
Yeah, definitely. If you're too far away, you tend to get a more satin finish. You need to be right on top of it.
Because the good thing about this, because you've got the first coat on, you can really go to town then with getting in close. up tomorrow.
So I've just painted mine by hand on this side, why it's looking very glossy. Hey look, hand painting. I miss this.
I like hand painting.
Yeah, it's like being back to basics.
Do you find it therapeutic though, hand painting?
Oh yeah, hand painting is, isn't it? So when you're airbrushing, because you're against the gun and you've got all the worries of it going right or wrong or whatever, hand painting, you can just take your time. So the way I do mine like this for gloss work is obviously you start at the top, so all your runs are going downwards anyway. Get all big hairs in it, not like that. And then you can just work it and brushing it south. And you're just going around to make sure you don't get any runs.
Got it all. Yeah.
Great thing with this, with the future stuff, if you do end up with a run, just overcoat it and brush over it and you'll find it will etch into itself. So there we had a little bit of a run on the tail, so by going over it, it will eat into itself. So it's not a, it's not a mass problem if it starts to, you get a run. I've got one, to be honest, I don't work with the camera, I'll pick it up just here. So we just put a little bit on the brush over the top, and you'll find it'll eat into itself. That's how you get rid of your runs, and there we go. So then what I would do now is run around this with a hair dryer just to dry this off, which I think is what I'm going to do. So excuse me whilst I just attempt to dry this. well you'll be able to see this. This is where I have my big run down on this here. You catch it in the light, it's completely gone now. You can see it gives it a very nice, I think very natural sheen. See, this I don't think it'll be good enough to touch quite yet. So I've just got to do this last bit just on this side. Okay. Well done. See if I can just dry this down a bit.
Right, if you'll excuse me, I've just got to wash my hands, seeing as I've got cellulose on them.
No, you're all good, mate.
Yeah.
Yeah, safety first.
Yeah, definitely.
So, whilst he is just doing that, if I show you what I've got. Okay. So, I don't know if it looks any more shiny. Come on, come back. There we go. Don't know if it looks shinier. Should do. Start a coat. Dry back. As you can see, there's no runs or anything else. But this will be our test bed, guys. This is for all of us. So I've taken one from the team here. Because if this yellows, then we know. But as you can see, it's quite a nice, clean, glossy shine. You can see on both sides. We've got no runs. Very nice. Now, don't get me wrong. This isn't that glass-like finish we've seen on other builds. If you're using the 2-pack, the great thing about it, and this is one of those things, if you look back for when I did the blaster, if you remember when I did that, we used 2-pack lacquer, because also this is a very thin layer. This is a very, very thin layer, in fact, okay? If you're using 2-pack lacquer and you put down quite a heavy coat, it will self-level all the imperfections and give you that glass-like look. To be honest, this was never nice, okay? But this has got a very glass-like finish on this one. No problem at all, very good, okay? So that will hide a lot of problems. So if you are into doing your automotive stuff, your bikes, yeah, you want a high gloss finish, 2-pack lacquer is absolutely fantastic. Also, it's a pretty good primer because it fills all the imperfections, okay? But you will lose surface detail because it will fill them all up. That's your only drawback. If you're going to come in now and you want to do a wash after using 2-pack, you'll find it's pretty much got rid of them. A good point in case is this guy. This has got obviously a glass cockpit fits on here. It filled it completely. It was great. No problem with it at all. But there we go. That is mine done. And as you can see, it worked really well. That's all those decals sealed down, taken in, and to be honest, when you think this is just a little bit of future on this, hopefully you see it on the tail, just a brush full of tail, and it's dry. That's the great thing as well. If you put the hairdryer over it, like we did with that guy, it dries almost instantly, and you have no problem with it at all. Okay, so there we go, looking very much the part. So all I've got to do now is really attach my doors and I'll be good to go on this one. But we are getting there. Right, let me just check any more questions. Okay, so where are we? Okay. Join a homemade styrene. Right, okay, Phil and Steve, this is from John. He says, I heard you talking about a UVA activated filler. I've been using Loon Products stuff. It's used to fly, as I used to fly tyres.
Right, back again.
It is used by Fly tyres and works great. You can get a thick kind and a thin kind, and I've been using it to thin and sounds great too. It's about the consistency of Tamiya thicker glue, so it's easy to use. Check it out on Fly Tyres area. Sure, eBay sells it too, John, in the States. Yeah, as I say, they're nothing new. Even Tamiya make one. Hold on, mate, I'll put you on screen. Okay. There you go. Even Tamiya make one. They did it a long time ago. I used to have it, and the thing is, it's like a wax that comes around it, so it dries, but then you got this waxy stuff, and it's horrible, and it just it never really took off that well. And as I say, when we did testing of it, which a couple of years ago now, we had one. I tried a Canopy. It's great as long as it can see it. So this is absolutely fine, no problem at all. It's it's rock hard. It's on there. I can't get it off. Yes, I can. No, sort of. There again, it's slightly soft underneath. Maybe you didn't get it long enough. Okay, but you can sand it. You can do it. But the thing is, the stuff doesn't form a perfect bond to the plastic. It's like using a resin. It'll sit on the top. It doesn't like etch into it and becomes seamless with it. And the big trouble with it as well, if you're going to try and sand it and then rescribe it, it's a lot harder. So it's harder than the styrene around it. So you go along and all of a sudden it's like donk and you stop dead. So you've got to very lightly go over it, work that line through, and you go again. That's the only drawback to it. But it was just when I was doing it in testing and things like that, it was great as long as it can see it. If it can't see it, it's a problem. So you're doing that thing as a filler hole, great, you can get in there, do it, no problem for small little gaps. But if you've got a big area, you can't get the light on the inside to sort of get both sides of it and all the rest of it, it can cause a little bit of a problem. So Steve, how did it go? Did you enjoy that? All right?
I did, yeah. And at least the two cameras are working.
Yeah, worked a treat. You look fantastic in there.
So hopefully now people will be able to see what I'm doing, like on the side of the shop, set the camera up so you can see me bench, and then it's just a matter of me switching little switcher box to the side of me instead of having to move the cameras, you move wires around, and so
Cool, very good. So yes, I don't know if we got any more.
Oh, that were good. That I have got a couple. You can see as you do little bits floating down, and you're going, "Don't you drop in my varnish?" And it has done, but luckily, because it is the two pack, what I always like to do anyway, I'll just get some micro mesh, maybe 10,000, 12,000, just do a little gentle rub over, loads of water, and it just gives it, takes the finish then to the next level. It's basically what professional car painters do.
That's right.
Any paint sprayer, they'll put the gloss on and then just polish up. You can even use some of Tamiya's polishing compound just to give it that
final thing.
So you take it and it just totally smooths it all out. So, but I enjoyed that.
Cool, very good. Well, I must admit, I hand painted that clear on. It went on a treat. So, and the great thing is, obviously, it's touchable and everything else. Although it's warm now, but that's from the hairdryer. So I just went over it and sealed them all down. They all seem to go in there okay. Got no problems with it all.
Mine's going to take a bit, I think, to dry.
Well, yours will probably take a couple of hours to properly go off, so I wouldn't play with it too much.
No, I'll move it over.
Don't drop it.
Well, there's a hole in there in the middle where the rotor head will go.
Yeah.
You can see now that's...
Hold on, let me put your full screen. Yeah. Yeah,
got a nice,
lovely, isn't it?
Nice, real high shine to it now.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, you can tell how nice it's looking. But yeah, there's a couple. You always get that, don't you? Them little rogue bits of dust,
fluff and stuff. Yeah.
You can just see them drifting down, and they always, as you're spraying, and then you'll go rest of the day without seeing one. But as soon as that airbrush turns on, and it don't help. Your extractor fan just pulls it all in there, though.
Yeah, that's the trouble. You've got they always say, isn't it, leave your extractor fan running for sort of 10-15 minutes to get all the particles in the air out of the way. Otherwise, you're pulling everything towards you.
You can see along the top, these pulse all have to just easily come out with micro mesh, so I'm not too worried.
Give it a polish, you'll be fine. Okay, so Rob Lee says, "Hi guys, just watching you on about the hour's delay." Well, sorry, just watching you on about an hour's delay. All right, okay.
So
So I
start.
missed the start of the show. We've got you now. Just wanted to say it was good to see Hans on Sunday. You need to have him on a longer piece of string or a new tin can. I honestly, I have no idea what the lag was because he's got a good internet connection. And obviously you can see me and Steve never have a problem, but for some reason, I don't know if it's because obviously he's so far away. I don't know. You'd think in today's technology it'd be fine, but we did have a bit of lag there. He was a bit sort of 1920s, you know. It's like a flick book. Okay, right, big question. Who's this from? Peter. Pete says, "Good evening, Phil and Steve. Thanks for trying to answer so many questions on the Sunday show about the AirSig number 3 for next year. Unfortunately, missed a lot of Hans' answer due to the latency problems you had with Skype. What I did hear was that it's a delta wing aircraft only, but something was mentioned about tail deltas, which is didn't quite make out. I see Hans put up a list of aircraft types, and the MiG-21 is on the list. Is it? Why would a MiG-21 be on it? Anyway, what I really wanted to ask is, does anyone know if I can lay my hands on some decals by Carcel? As I have an old monogram B58 Hustler in my stash and wanted would be perfect for the SIG. See, again, does a Hustler count and that got a tail?
I thought I did, yeah.
Yeah, I thought we said things didn't count if it had tail planes. I don't know.
It don't. It shouldn't
So
do.
how can a MiG-21 count?
I don't know.
You think after all the trouble we have with these group builds and SIGs, we know what we're doing, but clearly
I
not.
don't know if it's put how recent. I'll just check.
Yeah, we just check on that one because I thought we said that things like a Vulcan bomber would count, and obviously Mirages. But if it's got tails at the back, we did see on somebody put up a list and it had them, and they call it a tail delta. But I didn't think that counted. I thought we was basically saying doesn't have tail planes is what really makes it.
Yeah.
It can have canards, ones at the front, but not at the back end. So yeah, and I thought a Hustler did. It had little ones, didn't it? I don't know. Could be wrong. Very right.
He hasn't. It hasn't been updated yet.
Oh right. So when we do we'll sort that out for you soon, and we'll remove MiG-21 because MiG-21 shouldn't be in there because it's got a tail. If basically it doesn't have tail planes, it can have a rudder but no tail planes. That in my eye is a Delta jet. So Mirages, Typhoon accounts, and a Raphael. Because literally they've got front canards, they count like a Mirage 3 and stuff like that. But if it's got physical tail planes, then it doesn't count. He then goes on to say, I've searched all night and I've yet to come across any. So if anybody can help him out.
I'll tell you where he wants to have a look. Go to Sprue Brothers in America. Because buying decals, the postage is really, really cheap. It's only $5, if that. Yeah. And that's with a big wad of decals. I've done that myself. And that's probably your best chance of finding them Caracal decals. Mm-hmm. But the links, he's got one up. In fact, there's on Hans of it, a reference link to the wing designed aircraft, which has the MiG-21 and stuff like that in it, but it's just the Delta wings themselves that will go or allow.
Right. Okay.
So just wait till Hans has updated it. They'll get around to updating it. I'll take that Delta winged reference out and just wait for Hans. When you see the new date come up,
you'll know.
It's edited. You'll know he's done it.
Yeah, because he was saying those decals were released in 1999, I believe. I heard you using a product called Decal Fix, which is a spray. I've heard you can use a product called Decal Fix, which is a spray that you can spray on top of your decal from it falling apart. I've heard that using a clear varnish. Have you tried? Yeah, Microsol do one called Decal Fix as well, or something film, and you're supposed to, but those are really designed for when you print your own. You give it a spray with it, and it stops them falling apart. If they're falling apart, I'd bin it, because there's nothing worse. You get a shattered decal, it's really hard to stop them, but technically, yes, you can get your decal sheet before it goes near water and spray it with an acrylic varnish, or as you say, micro scale micro scale industries do one called a decal something or other, and you spray it over the top of decals to stop them cracking and all the rest of it. But in sometimes, if they're doing that, it's literally not good. You spend so much time playing with it, trying to get them not to go, that I would prefer just to get a new set of decals. I heard Steve recommend using those little wire brush sets for cleaning out your airbrush. May I suggest you don't use these sets, as it will null and void your warranty on your airbrush if you do. If you don't believe me, watch this later if you get a chance. I can't say it or don't, because I could get done for copyright, but he's got a video down on there.
Yeah.
It's all right.
First of all,
you can't say about it. Hold on. It's just that I can't show it, because if they do a copyright strike against me, I lose everything. So that's why I can't show videos on this show.
Right. They're not wire brushes. They're actually a nylon brush, and they're made by Harder and Steenbeck, who make the airbrush. Yeah. They bring out the airbrush cleaning brushes, so it don't damage the warranty. Yeah, not wire, the nylon. So all they do is take the paint off. They don't mark or do anything. It's actually designed by the airbrush people. So,
yeah, these are actually proper Harder and Steenbeck. They come because they're designed. This bit at the front goes right up inside it, and you can use the back one for down in the colour cup and all the rest of it. But these are proper ones for them because they're sold by them. So that's not a problem. That's all good. Right, but yeah, if you were jamming, I suppose, what we're trying to say though, but if you were jamming just anything into your airbrush and you was to break it, then yeah, you are going to be out of warranty, because they will say you should have used the professional one and all the rest of it. But most airbrush companies are pretty good. I know Harder and Steenbeck are pretty good with them. They don't tend to worry too much about calling you out on warranties and that. If it's buggered, it's buggered. Okay, so David says, morning from Canada. I'm wondering about that homemade plastic filler you mentioned. Everyone's going to go on about it now, and it's like so old. What plastic do you use? Left sprue or leftover bits and pieces of plastic sheet? I'm going to need to fill those gaps on my 1/48 monogram F86, and was thinking it would work better than filler. Can you can see my model on the forum under blah blah blah. Yeah, we said about it. Go in tutorial, guys. It's there. There's the full thing about it. I show making it, the different thicknesses, thinnesses, and plastic sheet. Use styrene sheet instead of filler. I know obviously Steve's used some as well, but I just find you get far better results in it. Trust me. We made an industrial version of this. It doesn't use Tamiya extra thin, and that's what originally we were going to sell. We had it lined out in different colours, and we were going to do it in two thicknesses. You can have thick or thin of it. That's originally what was going to happen. But for one reason or another, I couldn't be bothered to flog the stuff, so I've just told everybody how to make it anyway. And the easiest and the best thing, the closest thing to what we was going to manufacture, is Tamiya extra thin and styrene sheet, because to be honest, it was styrene sheet that was in it. We were using 2mm thick styrene sheet through a chipper, and that made it up into big vats of it and all the rest of it. But for one reason or other, we never sold it. We're not ever going to sell it before anyone starts saying, can they buy it? No, because it's too much of a legal loophole with chemicals and solvents through the post and all of that. It's really not worth my time doing it. I prefer to be modelling than trying to do this type of stuff. But yes, I did sort of work it out. But as I say, the homebrew method is Tamiya extra thin, white styrene sheet, 1mm is brilliant for it. Just chip it up, bung it in, get it to the thickness you want, and you're good to go. And that's the thing with it. But there's a full video about it. It's nothing new. This came out about, I don't know, a year or two ago when I was on about it in the first place. But yeah, you can do that one. Hi Phil, just found out, realised you've given the LED floodlights a go. How are you finding them? I did, thank you Anne. I did mention it right the way through when I was setting them up. It was your idea. I didn't take kudos for it. It wasn't mine. So when it does catch fire, I can blame you. No, seriously, they're great. I'll tell you the thing is, I thought they were going to get hot because when I first did it, I thought, cool, they feel warm. These have been on since what, 6 o'clock this morning, 6:30 this morning, and they're not hot. They're absolutely fine. The only thing I've got underneath here, which I did show on the video when I was setting it up, I've got some diffuser photographic stuff, you know, for lights and stuff. It's the same that's on these as well. I don't know what it is. It's just I had a giant roll of it, and I cut some up to shape and put them on. And what that does is give a nice diffuse light underneath, so you don't get it quite as heavy. The only trouble is they are a tiny bit too powerful, if I'm honest. They could do with just being a little bit softer, but now we've maxed out the white balance on the camera, because literally that's the trouble, it's literally at the top end of doing it. It's fine. If I was to put probably one of the better cameras in, it would probably cope with it better. But it's working a treat, really, really nice. And as I say, my concern was they were going to get hot, but they're not. Absolutely fine. As I say, they should go forever. And for the money, £5, I have got, I don't know if I can show it on here, I have got another light. I will show you on here because I don't be out of time. Hold on. I have got, everyone, if I turn this round, if I stick it in here, hold on. I did buy, see Steve did his bit with a camera, I'll do mine as well, look. I did buy one of these. Now this is very thin, as you can see. I mean uber thin. And this is a ceiling panel light, daylight rated, but, and this is the drawback, hold on, let me turn it on. Jesus Christ, it's like turning on the sun. It is very, very bright, even in here, if you tell the difference. It is very, very bright. It does the trick, don't get me wrong. It's just, it's probably too bright, but, we just unplug it and I'll put you guys back. But the thing is, if you were to be in a situation where you've got a spray booth or in an office or a work area and you want a cheap, and I mean stupidly cheap, daylight system, which is pretty perfect, and I'm thinking maybe just in here as an overall light, that thing, it was only £20, which I'll tell you what, I'll put the eBay link up underneath here when we come off air. I'll get you the link for it, but I only bought one because I just thought, I wonder. £24 I think it is delivered. I thought that's too cheap. It works really, really well, and if I could figure out a way of jerry-rigging it above here, I would use that probably as my overall down ones. And I think a couple of those you wouldn't need the studio lights, but the thing is, the studio lights, they're designed to work with the camera. I don't know how that one will work, but for you guys at home who don't need a studio, it could be a very good way because it's thin as well, so it'll fit ceilings, sheds, everywhere, no problem at all. And it's literally 240 volt. It comes with an adapter to take it down to 24 volt, like a power brick that you have for it, so you have to find a home for that, but it works really well, stupidly simple. So I must admit, I was playing with that the other day just to see, but I ordered it a while ago and it took a while to turn up. So, but yeah, that's that one. Never mind. How's it going then?
Yeah, a bit of a problem on the front. You know where you fit the frame, the glass in?
Yes.
The plastic is showing up as still as grey. If you look at the front.
Right, show us. Can you move it with a show?
Yeah, I'll move the camera right down. It's still a bit wet. Can you see there on the?
Yeah. Oh right, you mean round the? Oh, you've unmasked. Yeah. Oh, you're really brave doing that live.
Oh, hang on. Let's just. Which way do I need to go? That way.
Oh right, yeah. So you didn't paint your frame first then?
Well, I thought I did, but so now we've got a situation. What do we do?
Well, there's not a lot you can do in that situation.
Well, what I'm going to do, because it has a seal around it, so it's even on the side. So I'm going to mask it round, and then I'm going to put rubber to give it that seal appearance round the window.
Yeah.
And that'll work a treat, I think.
I think so, yeah. I must admit, I haven't got that. If I show them mine, they can see. But what I have got, which I'm not 100% with, is... See, Steve got that black. I've got a little bit.
Yeah, you've got a bit, yeah.
Really got.
But put a... Do the same as
this here.
Oh, that's even worse. At least I can put.
Yeah, but it is painted grey. No, that is painted grey in real life. But it doesn't look right, does it? I reckon it should be black. I think it would look better black, but that is painted grey. But to me, because everything else around it is black, it sort of stands out like a sore thumb, really. I think it would just look better. But in reality, they are grey. It's just I don't like it. I wish I'd painted it black.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, apart from that, you see that window went in pretty good last week. The one we were doing on Sunday. That's the one that got dipped as well. So it went in there very well, all of that. Happy with that. But yes, I thought you meant putting in these two top ones, because what happens is there's a tiny little tab, if you can see this, Steve, just to give you a heads up.
Yeah.
There's a tab in this front corners here. You need to get them in, because if they're not in properly, it won't sit flush. You end up with a bloody great step. So it can be a little bit of a pain to get that one in, to be honest. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's a bit annoying about that grey, but...
Yeah, I think that's the thing though. You put it in there and then you don't realise and you spray everything else. The worst one I had for that, if you remember, if you go back and look at the transol, I put in the windscreen thinking that the windscreen is just seen. But what happened is I didn't paint the back of the instrument panel, and actually you can see that from the windscreen. So I've got a grey slice running right the way across, which is bloody annoying. So I wish I'd, if I'd known that, I would have painted it. But because I didn't know it, I didn't see it and didn't do it. So
I think it's just one of those little hazards when you're not used to building something like this. You don't expect that to happen, and when it does, you're like, oh. But then there is a way around it where you can put a rubber seal around it, because all the windows, if you look close, do have a rubber seal around it.
Have a seal, yeah.
Yeah,
definitely.
so you can get around. There's no point thinking, oh God, my model's ruined. You just think, well, what can I do to rectify it? Yeah.
And that's the thing, I'm a great believer that, you get people and that's it, the model's wrecked and you're ruined. Honestly, guys, just think about it, have a think and right, how are we going to fix the problem, and there's always a workaround, unless you do something like crack a clear piece of plastic, usually there's an easy fix. You can do something with it, and even if you cracked your windscreen or something, you can even put a tarp over it.
Mine's black, Phil. Oh, sorry. Mine's black. I painted mine.
Oh, but when you look on the references, it shows it was grey, didn't it?
Yeah, so well, mine's painted.
I would have done it if I had known you could see it that clearly. I would have done it.
Yeah.
So.
But I've got to put matte varnish on it yet anyway for where all the black is.
Yeah. Just a quick question for Steve. How's the Missouri doing? Or is it joined the kayak of doom?
Oh yeah, it's on that at the moment. It will be getting going again. Yeah, I put too much money into it to just let it rot and rust, decay.
Okay, Ant came back and said, laugh out loud, I need a fire disclaimer. What do you use as a diffuser? Would tracing paper do? Yeah, probably. I don't know, Steve, what's the technical term, what they put in front of lights and filters? Does it have a proper name?
Well, you basically turn it into a big softbox, aren't you? Diffuser.
Yeah. It comes in different grades. I don't know what I bought. I bought a triple pack of filter.
Yeah, it's just a filter. Usually you just put a filter over it. So it's just diffusing the light, yeah.
Yeah.
You can buy camera stuff, but you can also use, like you said, tracing paper, or even a bit of slight thin piece of material. But it shouldn't get hot enough, an LED light, for it to catch fire.
No, although they do get warm, but most LEDs, you say, they're nice. Yeah, it's warm to the touch, but it's not hot. Because I, you don't worry about these things. But even the LEDs, they still let off heat. It's not like they're totally cold. But I bought off of eBay. They were whatever this is, 2 size, and it was a triple pack, and it wasn't much. It was like £7, and with it, it was like a really thick version, a medium, and a thin. And that is the medium one that's up there, because that's what's on these, to be honest. Because when I first put them up, I found them overpowering. I must admit, I've learned how to work the settings on the back now a bit better. But generally, you can do that. But you say a bit of white paper might help. All it does is, with the LEDs, you probably get it really strong. So if you put this under it, it just diffuses it just a little bit to help it give a more milky white look to everything instead of being white really in your face. Because I presume they're designed as spotlights on your side of your house. But they work great for that. I must admit, I did think about buying a couple more for an outside light. So we were okay with it then. Right, okay, I think that is it, mate. We are up to date.
It'd be good over your table out back.
Yeah, well, we got all those lights hanging up there anyway, isn't it? We don't
Yeah.
like daylight.
Well, you could have different coloured lights in there.
Yeah,
Mood
yeah.
lighting. Mellowed light,
Moonlight.
that.
Oh, she would, yeah. It's like we used to have the rope light system going around it, but yeah. Hmm.
There's a bit of dust on the inside, but no, just needs a little clean off.
Yeah, well, what I'll do is I will, off camera, try and attach me doors, which will just be a tiny bit of super glue, and then I'll PVA it. It's just I need to see actually how they open. Where do they hinge?
Yeah, to be honest, I've taken it off. Apart from that little bit of problem, it's not looking too bad. But like I say, it's no I can't fix. And with it being black as well, it'll all blend in.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
It's just hard. I think it's because it's quite flat, isn't it? With the angle, when you put the glass in, it's quite a flat surface, and that's probably what's just...
Yeah, caught it.
Yeah.
But no, I must admit, I was glad we did these. Thank you to everybody who sort of said do it, because as I say, I would have never built one of these ever, and now we've done it. I think they look really sweet, really, really nice. It was a nice project to do this last couple of weeks, doing it live.
Well, last few months.
Well, all right, lads. I don't know. How long have we been working on these?
I don't know. It seems forever, doesn't it?
It does actually. Yeah, but then I have produced other stuff in the meantime. It's not like I've just been doing this for months. So just hey.
But our problem is we chat too much.
Well, yeah, but then we have to. That's what we're paid to do.
Yeah. What do we get paid?
Well, apparently, I don't know. Not according to my accountant. Right. Okay. Well, there we go, guys. We'll call it quits just there. Okay. But there we go. That is our dolphin helicopters all done. Should I do a top down for mine? It'll be. That's it. There it is. So you've got to put the doors in. Got the underside. Get nice and. As I say, mine's not quite as glossy as Steve's because you're never going to get that unless you're going to go for that full-on effect. But you can see it still will catch the light, it will still reflect, and all those good bits. The only thing I want to know about is the pitot tubes. I might try and fashion something up because it looks wrong without them. It definitely needs something, so I might just do that, put that together. But at least that's those decals sealed down and done and looking the part.
Yeah, I've got little bits to do, just tidying it up, put some seals on the windows, give it a little dust here and there.
Yeah, be cool.
There's a bit of tidy up around the windows in general.
Right.
But apart from that, it looks nice.
It does.
Nice looking. I'll just show you. Just a shame about them windows. It's annoyed me as that, but I'll get round it and make something nice out of it.
Here we go. Very nice. Very sharp.
I'll just hold it.
Drop it.
Oh, can you imagine fluff that would stick to it? But it's just a shame about the windows, but I'm not going to hide.
Yeah.
Below the cover. Nice, apart from that, it's really nice. Lovely. I love the colour. It'll make a striking piece to your collection.
To the table, yeah, and it'll look good on Telford. If you want to see him, guys, see him live, come and see us at Telford. We'll have them both there.
Yeah, and I'm doing two little bases. Very simple. We've got on the back of the tail, you'll see the unit crest that you won't be able to see in DL. I've ordered two patches, one for my unit and one for Phil, so just a little something just to put on the base. You'll be able to see it a bit better. I think it just brings the base to life a bit.
Yeah, just
so they're the proper embroidered shoulder patches that they wear.
Cool. Very good.
So Boba Fett, well, we'll have to do a little gallery from both.
Yeah, oh yeah, we will do. We'll do some proper pictures and all the bits and pieces for them. But say, next build up for us as a joint one, which will be back to the Saturdays as normal, we're doing Boba Fett. So we're going to be doing the figure and Slave 1. So,
which I've had down here for months.
Which is out there for months, desperately trying to get on with it.
So we've got that one.
We're going to be doing that one.
and
Volvo himself. That's it.
yeah, these will look nice together as well.
Yeah. So again, before everyone's like, oh god, it's Star Wars, but don't forget, we're going to weather the hell out of them. So we're going to be looking at chipping techniques, we're going to be looking at obviously, you know, weathering and worn and everything else, because you can imagine you've got tons of it on both of them. Even Bobber himself is pretty chippy, pretty kicked in and abused. So we're going to be recreating all of that and going through in detail how we do it. So Steve will show you his way of doing it, I'll show you mine, perhaps we'll have a look at a couple of different versions as well, about chipping and wearing and everything else like that. So lots of fun with that one. Right, well that'll do us, mate. We'll let these kind people all go.
Okay.
So thinking, God, he's been on for 2-3 hours again. Right, let me just stick it to us. There we go then, guys. Thank you very much for joining us and watching us. Remember, if you want us to do your question or the rest of it, make sure you pop them in the forum. We'll be back with you live. We'll be next Tuesday. So same time, same place, we'll be here and all the rest of it. For the guys asking about a one-day build, let me get slightly ahead. I'll probably bring that back next Monday, not this Monday coming, the Monday after, because I've got a few bits to thinking about on that, which I think will be quite good for that one. So I'll be doing a live build with you guys, and then obviously with Steve, and then the following one after that, I think we're live again, aren't we? So it will be on the Saturday show again. So that'll be good right the way through. And in the meantime, I've got Sid's wedding. So I've got a couple of days off for Sid's wedding. So blame Sid because I'm not here, but I'll make sure you've got plenty of stuff up before then. We've got another couple of weeks anyway. So there we go. Thank you very much, everybody, for watching. And we'll catch you all again this time next week. So thank you and bye. Say bye, Steve.
Bye.
Bye.